Chapter 1499. Sargeras, is this your true power? Sargeras crushed an invincible and powerful enemy, as if it was a joke. This caused Eric and the others to be astonished. After knowing Sargeras for many years, Eric and the others knew that Sargeras was very powerful. However, no one thought that he would be so powerful. Matter control, level 5 mutant ability. This is my true power. Liu reached out to pull Charles up and answered with a smile. Matter control? No wonder your nickname is Controller, so you really are Controller. Charles nodded and then glared at Liu. Since you are so powerful, why did you only come to save me now? You are happy to see me being messed with so badly, aren't you? If I save you later, you will be fine. However, if I save the students in your school later, I am afraid they will be in danger. Liu pointed to Phoenix and the others and explained to Charles, after you were captured by Apocalypse, Stryker led his men to attack the mutant school and took all your students into the laboratory. Stryker? That bastard. Charles clenched his fists angrily. Stryker dared to attack the mutants. I will teach him a lesson. Eric's eyes were filled with anger. No, Eric, violence can't solve the problem. Charles pointed around and sighed. Do you see? This is Cairo. A city of 1 million people has been completely destroyed. This is the consequence of the abuse of violence. Eric, we have to use our power carefully. Cairo, this ancient city with a long history. It has now become a pyramid. Everything was destroyed, including the millions of people living in the city. They were all turned into dust in this apocalypse catastrophe. I'm not Apocalypse. Eric's answer was blunt, but even a fighter like Eric shook his head and sighed at the tragic situation in front of him. The more powerful the mutant, the more serious the damage caused. Apocalypse's power destroyed a city. If Apocalypse fully released his ability, he could even destroy the entire world. Even Eric himself could destroy the world if he distorted the Earth's magnetic field. There was no need to mention Charles. A large-scale psionic storm could wipe out everyone in the world. If this was the power of the 4th level, then what about the 5th level? Mutants need to replace humans and create a glorious future, not destroy the world. We will all use our own strength when we ascend. Eric nodded, agreeing with Charles's careful use of power. As long as the spirit can control the power, it won't cause any damage. Liu glanced at Eric and Charles and smiled. What's more, besides destruction, power can also redeem. Redemption. Hearing Liu's words, all the mutated humans present were confused. So far, the power of all the mutants was destructive and aggressive. He had never heard of any redemption power, right? Yes, redemption. Watch carefully. Liu smiled faintly. Then, his figure flashed as he soared into the sky. My name is Sargeras, the controller of matter, the ruler of life, and the ruler of time. In my name, I call upon the river of time and bestow upon Cairo the divine redemption. Standing in the air, Liu opened his arms as his mighty voice echoed between heaven and earth. Holy light soared into the sky and enveloped the entire Cairo ruins. Return, the lives that have passed away. Reappear, the destroyed city. Holy light shone upon heaven and earth. It was as if there was an endless hymn echoing between heaven and earth. God. Seeing this, Charles, Eric, and the group of mutated humans were completely dumbfounded. Was this the power of a 5th-level mutant? This was clearly already a god, right? The mighty light swept out and cleansed the ruins of Cairo like a tide. Apocalypse's huge pyramid was like snow under the hot sun as it continued to dissipate. When the huge pyramid disappeared, a city was born. It was as if time had been reversed. When the holy light dissipated, the city that had long been destroyed by Apocalypse's hands was completely restored to its original state. Traffic was heavy and the lights were dazzling. The bustling city was bustling with people coming and going. In Cairo, the millions of people who had died by Apocalypse's hands were suddenly resurrected. The controller of matter, the ruler of life, the ruler of time. Was this Sargeras' true power? Eric and the others were dumbfounded. Rebuilding a city and resurrecting millions of people. This kind of power Even God couldn't do it, right? Mr. Sargeras is so great. Jean Grey looked up at Liu, who was floating in the air with a face full of admiration. Mr. Sargeras is a 5th-level mutant. Professor told me that I'm also a 5th-level mutant. Then can I also become as great as Mr. Sargeras in the future? Power wasn't just about destruction and destruction. It was also about redemption. At this moment, Jean Grey felt that she had found her direction in life. These mutants were shocked, but the world's leaders were about to go crazy. God, is this your miracle? After the huge commotion caused by Apocalypse, the satellites of various countries had been shining in the sky above Cairo. Apocalypse destroyed Cairo, and then Liu was like God, recreating the destroyed Cairo and resurrecting millions of people. This kind of unscientific thing made the world's leaders doubt their lives. Do gods really exist? Isn't this completely God? Didn't that Apocalypse call himself God? Maybe. God is also a powerful mutant. How'd he do it? His name is Sargeras, the controller of matter, the ruler of life, and the ruler of time. Is this still a power that humans can have? All the nuclear bombs in the world have been destroyed. What do we use to resist the arrival of this God? Nuclear bombs? With the power he has shown, will nuclear bombs be effective against him? Seeing the figure shining with holy light on the satellite image as if a god had descended, all the world's leaders were shocked. Looks like we need to think about how to get along with a god. Judging from his behavior, he should be considered peaceful and kind. But his divine power is like the sea, and his divine power is like a prison. What does a god think? How do we know? I hope he doesn't preach. Otherwise, in our future elections, will we still need a divine mandate of kings? Will the Dark Middle Ages come again? Chapter 1500. Reversing Time. I went overboard. Liu sighed and floated down, landing on the ground and arriving in front of everyone. Liu's so-called redemption was actually reversing time. However, Shadow Cats, reversing the future, only sent Wolverine's soul back to the past. Liu directly reversed the entire Cairo to the time before Apocalypse destroyed Cairo. Although this method was arbitrary, he went overboard. Sargeras, you are too powerful. Charles and the others looked at Liu and felt a sense of unfamiliarity. Is he really the Sargeras that we know with such great power? Yes, too powerful. Liu looked at everyone and shook his head with a smile. This power is indeed too powerful and has exceeded the limit. So, I'm in trouble. Trouble? Everyone was shocked. With Sargeras' current power, was there anything in this world that he would find troublesome? Yes, troublesome. Very troublesome. Liu shook his head helplessly. The power I used just now has exceeded the limit of what this world can bear. So, I can't stay in this world anymore. He played a big game, but this world couldn't take it anymore. The world's origin had already started to reject Sargeras' existence. If Liu continued to stay in this world, he would cause more damage to this world. If he wasn't careful, he might destroy this world. The Lord of the Abyss had already ruined a world. Liu could only rebuild that world. Now in this world, Charles, Eric, Raven, and a group of friends lived here. Liu really didn't want to ruin them. Can't stay in this world anymore? What does that mean? Tears welled up in Raven's eyes. Sargeras, could it be you're about to die? You saved Cairo and resurrected the people of the city. Did that hurt you? Sargeras, Eric and Charles's eyes were red. Mr. Sargeras, Master. All the mutants were filled with sorrow. Sargeras was too great. He sacrificed himself to save millions of people in Cairo. What a magnificent feat this was. Don't be sad. I'm not going to die. I just can't stay in this world. Liu smiled and shook his head. He looked at the crowd and said, since there's still some time left, I have something to tell you. Eric, your apple of Eden is the future of the mutants. You must use it well. Liu looked at Eric and said with a smile, the apple of Eden, you know about it? Eric was shocked, but then he understood. How powerful was Sargeras? It was normal for him to know about the existence of the apple of Eden. I will make good use of it. The apple of Eden had the ability to bestow mutant genes. As long as this power was activated, Eric could turn everyone in the world into mutants. Charles, Eric is a bit impatient and easily goes to extremes. You have to help him. Don't let him be too extreme. I know. Charles nodded with a gloomy expression. Jean, you're the only level 5 mutant after me. After I leave, you will be the most powerful deterrent to the mutants. I gave you a gift back then. Use it well. Use your mind to dominate your power. That will allow you to go further. Yes, Mr. Sargeras. Jean Grey choked and bowed to Liu. Raven. Liu looked at Raven. No. Sargeras, don't leave. Tears rolled down Raven's face. Don't cry. I'm not going to die. I'm just leaving this world. Liu smiled at Raven. Also, what I want to say is not goodbye. But I want to ask you, are you willing to come with me? Liu had a good impression of Raven. It had been a long time since he brought someone into the Divine Mansion space. It was necessary to fill up the harem, a room full of fairies and saintesses. A blonde beauty was also very suitable. Go with you. Raven was startled. Could it be there was another world outside this one? You don't want to? Liu raised his eyebrows. Although he intended to take Raven back, if she didn't want to, Liu naturally wouldn't force her. I want to. I want to. Raven wiped her tears and happily ran to Liu's side, hugging Liu's arm. Sargeras, Raven, you're leaving together? Eric and Charles didn't know what was going on. Leaving together? What was this? Multiverse? Parallel universe? There was another world outside this one. The world is more vast than you think. Liu smiled and waved to everyone. Everyone goodbye. As soon as his voice fell, a radiance rushed up. Liu and Raven's figures turned into a bright light that shot into the sky. Sargeras and Raven left. What happened today was a huge blow to everyone present. Whether it was Sargeras' godlike power or the two turning into light and disappearing, everyone was in disbelief. At this time, the apple of Eden in Eric's mind suddenly vibrated. The bestowing ability that couldn't be activated no matter how hard he tried was inexplicably activated just like that. A sudden activation of the bestowing ability? Could it be because of Sargeras? The apple of Eden. Eden, is Sargeras really God? Eric was dumbfounded. I've been friends with God for decades. Do you believe it? Sargeras left the X-Men world, and the story of this world continued. Eric activated the bestowing function of the apple of Eden and began to bestow mutant genes all over the world. He intended to use his life to turn all the humans in the world into mutants. Charles was still running his school and was very satisfied that Eric was no longer committed to armed struggle. Jean Grey focused on practicing the Bodhi heart lamp technique, determined to become a great person like Sargeras and use her powerful strength to protect the world. Vampire Dracula, Liu's butler. Returning to the Sargeras manor in London, he looked at the treasures in the room with a helpless expression. Master, you went out with Miss Raven to have fun, but left me here to guard the door. I'm very bored. So, Dracula began to use his blood to create vampire descendants. Silently, a huge group of vampires appeared in London. As for whether there would be a war between vampires and werewolves countless years later, no one knew. The only one who knew whether there was such a possibility was Liu, and now he was in trouble. A new year has arrived. Thank you to all my book friends for supporting me. Shui Yin wishes everyone a happy new year. All the best. Chapter 1501. Do you see? The world is more vast than you can imagine. Taking Raven away from the X-Men world, Liu arrived in the endless void of the God King's world. He pointed at the endless planes in front of him and introduced them to Raven. There is an endless space-time here, and outside the endless space-time, there are 10,000 worlds. Raven seemed to be stunned. When she left the X-Men world, she became abnormally silent. There, Liu pointed at the void in front of him. There, a figure wearing a white robe was sitting cross-legged in the void, seemingly sleeping. That's me. My name is not Sargeras. My name is Liu. The alias Sargeras flashed with a golden light and whistled into Liu's body. Liu's body slowly opened his eyes and nodded at Raven with a smile on his face. Hi, Raven. I am Liu. I am Sargeras. Of course I know it's you. Raven's face didn't show the slightest surprise. Instead, she had a strange smile. Scoundrel, you haven't come to see me for so many years, so I can only come to see you myself. Li Yu's whole body shook. What's going on? This isn't right, right? Raven shouldn't be like this, right? Hee hee. Raven let out a chuckle and waved at Li Yu. Scoundrel, quickly come and find me. Goodbye. The sky was filled with an azure radiance. Raven's figure instantly turned into an azure light, whistling and rushing up, breaking through the endless void and disappearing in an instant. What the hell? Li Yu was dumbstruck. Did I get tricked by someone? Am I being teased? Raven isn't Raven? In the X-Men world, the Raven who had always been by his side isn't the Raven Li Yu knew of, but someone else who used the method of descending to become Raven? There are only a few people in the entire universe who can hide from my perception. Li Yu frowned. Those celestial emperors at the second step of the primordial chaos wouldn't be so bored. Even if she became Raven, she would only attack me. Could this person be that empress? Just who was this empress? Back then, in the world of devouring the stars, this goddess gave me a voice that was not in the timeline. Later on, he even appeared once. This time it came again. What was she trying to do? Judging from the current situation, this empress didn't seem to have any ill intentions. But what was she trying to do? In the great desolate world, Li Yu also understood a little about the heavenly emperors and this empress. It seemed like the empress and the celestial emperor were on the same side. The celestial emperors were hostile to Li Yu, and the celestial emperor of Taixuan had even attacked Li Yu. But this empress didn't seem to have any ill intentions. What was going on? The complicated relationship made Li Yu frown. Forget it. I'll solve these mysteries sooner or later. Li Yu stood up and looked up at the void. At present, the most important thing is to find a way to advance to the third step of chaos. In the X-Men world, Li Yu gained some insights from Charles. Using the empathize technique, Li Yu had already released a clone in the various worlds he had been to, using it to understand the thoughts of all living beings and experience countless lives. As for freedom of the soul, Li Yu had also gained a lot of understanding. This experience gave Li Yu a clear understanding of the third step of chaos. It seemed that he was only a thin layer away and only needed an opportunity to break through. At this time, Li Yu suddenly sensed that his clone, which had once again entered the various worlds, had discovered a new situation. Sky Sovereign, we've made our preparations. In a land of deathly stillness and darkness, a radiant and stalwart figure held a long sword in his hand. The sharp sword Qi seemed like it could even cut through space and time. Beside this figure, there was another figure holding two long sabers, similarly exuding a vast and mighty aura, standing proudly. Behind the two of them, there were a dozen figures similarly exuding a vast and mighty divine light that seemed like they could crush space and time. Behind this group of people was an endless army. Back then it was here. The man with the long sword pointed forward. There a black and white light intertwined, forming a huge seal. The Grand Empyrean discovered the source of the dark calamity that brought about our world. That was a boundlessly terrifying world. It was called Above High Heavens. The man with the long sword turned around and looked at the people behind him, at the endless army behind him, and slowly raised the long sword in his hand. Back then, in order to protect our world, the Grand Empyrean killed his way into Above High Heavens alone, and there has been no news of him to this day. Back then, our strength was insignificant. We couldn't provide any help to the Grand Empyrean, and we didn't have the strength to fight alongside him. For countless years, we have been accumulating strength. Finally, today has arrived. We cannot let the Grand Empyrean fight alone without help. With the long sword raised high, a vast and mighty radiance covered the world, shaking space and time. Today, I, Heavenly Emperor Huang Shihao, declare that we will slaughter our way into Above High Heavens and wipe out the source of darkness. Slaughter our way into Above High Heavens. Wipe out the source of darkness. Shouts of war shook the heavens, surging through the world. Set off. A sword slashed out, cutting through time itself. Heavenly Emperor Huang's sword slashed at the intertwining black and white seal, cutting open the endless void and creating a huge void passage. Kill! The vast and mighty army swarmed up. Under the lead of Heavenly Emperor Huang and the others, they slaughtered their way into the void passage, into that unknown and terrifying world. This is Little Stone and the others are already going to fight in above high heavens? Li was stunned. Only now did he recall that when he sealed the entrance to above high heavens, he had told Heavenly Emperor Huang and the others, "I will block that terrifying world for you." In the eyes of Heavenly Emperor Huang and the others, that was Li Yu fighting in above high heavens alone for countless years. What the hell? Above the heavens? I haven't even been there yet. Li Yu smiled bitterly and shook his head. Wait. Back then, I saw the scene of a decisive battle above the heavens on that statue. That scene, it seemed that Yi Fan, Vicious, and the others were also involved. Li Yu hurriedly looked at Yi Fan's space-time. Yi Fan's time is in the future of Heavenly Emperor Huang. In other words, in the original future, Heavenly Emperor Huang and his group had slaughtered their way into the heavens, and from then on, there had been no news of them. That's why there's the story of heaven shrouding. He still had to settle the matter that he had left behind in the past. In the decisive battle above the heavens, the Grand Empyrean naturally had to participate. Li Yu didn't care too much about above the heavens. With his current realm, he had already far surpassed the level of an immortal emperor. In Li Yu's opinion, participating in it was just a relaxing trip. Chapter 1502. This was a world engulfed in the flames of war. The bloody light that filled the sky dyed the entire world red. Rays of light that shook the world and annihilated space and time tore apart the earth and shattered the stars. This was not above the heavens, but shrouding the heavens world. At this moment, countless years had passed since Li Yu left the shrouding heaven world. Fan, No Beginning, Vicious, Duanda, and Zhou Yi had already become immortal emperors. Even the big black dog and the sacred battle ape were already quasi-immortal emperors. Fan's heavenly court, Zhou Yi's Xianyuan Holy Land, one controlling the heavens, one controlling the earth, together controlling the entire world. After countless years of peaceful development, a sudden war broke out. One day, a huge hole was torn open in the void. Countless terrifying creatures from other realms charged into the shrouding the heavens world, with a murderous aura that could destroy everything, setting off a rain of blood. No beginning, no end. There is a beginning and an end. The bell of no beginning shook the heavens and the earth, sweeping across the world. Xianyuan Saint Da, Human Tao Saint Sword. The golden sword light tore through the sky, cutting through everything. The 9-colored cauldron soared into the sky, and the bronze ghost face swept across the boundless land. Under the lead of Fan and the others, countless cultivators bravely killed their enemies, fighting with the foreign creatures until blood flowed through the world. A war has already broken out in the shrouding heaven world. A war with the heavens? Li Yu saw the situation in the shrouding heaven world and frowned slightly. The era of Heavenly Emperor Huang is the past of the Fan era. Now, the shrouding heaven world was attacked by the heavens. This meant that Heavenly Emperor Huang's expedition in the past had already failed. Perfect world, Heavenly Emperor Huang was launching a decisive battle above the heavens. But the war in the shrouding heaven world had already proven that Heavenly Emperor Huang's expedition had failed. This is impossible. Heavenly Emperor Huang had brought more than 10 immortal emperors and hundreds of millions of troops to attack the heavens. Yet he still failed? Is there such a strong person above the heavens? With Li Yu's current strength, he did not place much importance on the heavens. He always felt that it was only at the level of immortal emperor. However, Heavenly Emperor Huang, Xiao Hao, and a group of immortal emperors had actually failed in attacking the heavens? I'm afraid there's still some things that I don't know about. Even with Li Yu's current cultivation level, he still couldn't see through above the heavens. This was abnormal. In the entire world, in the myriad of the heavens in the world, Heavenly Emperor of the heavens, does that mean that above the heavens is related to a certain celestial emperor? At first, he thought that it was a small matter, but now, it seemed that it was not that simple. Then I have to go there once. Li Yu's expression turned serious. He took a step forward, broke through the void, and once again came to the world of shrouding the heavens. Back then, Li of the heaven of the world. It was because he obtained the resources of shrouding the heavens world that Li Yu was able to open up the situation and walk step by step until now. At this moment, when Li Yu saw the flames of war swirling in the air and the ruined world, anger rose in his heart. Fiend Eye. In the void ahead, a woman in red armor with countless wounds on her body raised the crescent saber in her hand. She was fighting with a group of demon-like creatures with 2 horns on their heads. Don't underestimate me, Li Shu. I am the heaven-suppressing Great Empress. Saber light shone like moonlight in the hands of this valiant woman. The cold and sharp saber light tore through the sky. The group of foreign creatures attacking the heaven-suppressing emperor were instantly pulverized by the whistling saber light. Heaven-suppressing Great Empress? You dare call yourself a Great Empress with your puny strength? Let me show you what a Great Empress is. There was a loud bang in the void as a huge figure broke through the air and came over. It was a monster hundreds of meters tall. Its body was covered in scales and looked like a ghost. Black fire covered the sky and the earth. It was as if space itself was going to collapse from a heat. The vast and boundless aura caused the surrounding space to tremble. Fiend Emperor? Damn it! The heaven-suppressing Great Empress paled at the sight of this terrifying monster. The Fiend Emperor's power was equivalent to that of an immortal king. The heaven-suppressing Great Empress had advanced by leaps and bounds in the past few years. She had already become a Great Emperor and stepped into the realm of worldly immortals. However, compared to the Archfiend Monarch, his strength was still lacking by quite a bit. The heaven-suppressing Great Empress had been severely injured. Now that she encountered another Fiend Emperor, she had no chance of winning. The heaven-suppressing Great Empress has never been weaker than anyone. With a roar, the heaven-suppressing Great Empress raised her crescent saber. Fiend, I'll fight you to the death. The snow-white saber light was like the moon in the sky, bright and cold. Heaven-suppressing Great Empress Li Shu? Li Yu froze at the sight of this valiant woman. Past events surfaced in his mind. So it's you. Speaking of which, this heaven-suppressing Great Empress Li Shu was an old acquaintance of Li Yu's. Back then, when Li Yu returned to Shrouding Sky World for the second time, in order to obtain the laws of Shrouding Sky World, he used Heaven Suppression Grand Emperor's Tribulation to analyze the laws of this world. At that time, Li Yu had caused great harm to the young girl who was still in the Dragon Realm. He had caused her to doubt her life. Later on, Li Yu had given her some compensation and stopped paying attention to her. Who would have thought that he would run into this heaven-suppressing emperor again? Since you're an old friend, how can I not help you? Li Yu smiled and waved his hand, sending out a stream of energy that silently merged with the heaven-suppressing Great Empress's saber light. Feudal struggle. Seeing the heaven-suppressing Great Empress's saber, the Archfiend Great Empress sneered in disdain. He raised his blood-colored axe and swung it at the saber light. In Archfiend Lord's eyes, the Heaven Suppression Emperor's attack was no longer at its peak and posed no threat to him. But, with a plop, the moonlight saber light easily cut through the axe, as if it were tofu, cleaving the Archfiend Great Empress in two. What's going on? My saber has actually become so powerful? Could this be the legendary breakthrough during a battle? Did I also have such an opportunity? Ha ha! Heaven Suppressing has never been weaker than anyone. Raising his crescent saber, the Heaven Suppressing Great Empress laughed heartily. Young girl, this is an illusion. Li Yu appeared and nodded at the Heaven Suppressing Great Empress with a smile. You. The Heaven Suppressing Great Empress took a step back in shock at the sudden appearance of Li Yu. Then, she saw Li Yu's face clearly. "You, Grand Empyrean? You're the Grand Empyrean? You're back. This is great. This is great. The Grand Empyrean is back." The heaven-suppressing great empress cried out in pleasant surprise. Chapter 1503. Sky's Sovereign. It's very difficult for us to resist the invasion of the demons. The heaven-suppressing great emperor hurriedly bowed to Li Yu. "Sky's Sovereign, please take action. Please wipe out the demons and restore the universe." "Of course." Li Yu nodded towards the heaven-suppressing great emperor. "Wait a moment. I will wipe out the demons and then talk to the great emperor." After saying that, Li Yu opened his arms, and a mighty divine radiance soared into the sky. Boom! Heaven and earth shook, and the great Tao resonated. Endless light covered the sky and the earth, sweeping in all directions. Back then, I had already analyzed the laws of this world. All order and laws, all matter and energy were within his grasp. Therefore, this is my world. The intertwining black and white light transformed into an incomparably large Taiji 8 trigrams diagram, instantly enveloping the entire world. I control the heavenly laws, the heavenly fate, and the heavenly laws. My will is the will of the heavens. Evil demons are wreaking havoc in the world, and their crimes are punishable by death. The mighty voice echoed between heaven and earth. The heaven and earth resonated, the great Tao resonated, and endless divine radiance shook the world. Kill! The word kill that spanned across the sky hung high in the sky. The power that originated from order and law swept through the entire world. Under the sweeping power of this law, all the demons that invaded the shrouding heaven world were instantly annihilated by the law and turned into ashes. This is... The countless cultivators who were fighting with the demons were shocked when they saw this scene. They didn't know what was going on. Sky Sovereign. Grand Empyrean. The Grand Empyrean is back. A long time had passed, but there were still some old friends in this world. They still recognized the intertwining black and white radiance. They still remembered the supreme being who swept through the life forbidden zone, whose might shook the ancient times and was invincible in the world. Sky Sovereign, you're back. That's great. The mysterious yellow cauldron broke through the air and arrived. Yi Fan, whose white clothes were stained with blood, stood on top of the cauldron, his face full of pleasant surprise and laughter. Disciple Zhou, he pays his respects to ancestral master. The golden sword light whistled over. Saint Lord Xianyuan, Zhou, he rode his sword through the air and bowed towards Li Yu from afar. Sky Sovereign, long time no see. The bell of No Beginning tore through the air. The great emperor of No Beginning was still as handsome as ever. Long time no see. The ruthless emperor, whose robes were whiter than snow, was still as cold as ever. Immeasurable, that celestial venerable. Grand celestial venerable. The celestial venerable I'm talking about isn't you. The heartless Taoist priest, Duanda, cupped his fist and bowed to Li Yu with a grin. Woof woof! A huge black dog instantly rushed over and bit Duanda's ankle. You damn dog! You actually bit I again? Duanda screamed and kicked the black dog away. Then, he was chased by the black dog again. Hee, I'm delighted to see this. Everyone smiled and shook their heads when they saw this. Duanda and a large black dog could be considered old enemies. The heartless Taoist was bitten by a dog. This was already an old tradition in the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang. In the past, in Duanda's previous life, that little fatty Chao Yuxing had been bitten by the large black dog many times. Li Shu greets all the sovereigns. Seeing the arrival of Yi Fan and the others, the heaven-suppressing great emperor walked forward and greeted everyone. However, Li Shu's gaze towards Yi Fan was somewhat cold, as if there was a hint of resentment in it. Li Shu, are you all right? Yi Fan looked at Li Shu with a complicated expression. Concern, regret, helplessness, bitterness. All kinds of expressions were in a mess. It seemed there was a story between the two of them. Liu blinked his eyes and suddenly remembered that the opportunity he had given to the heaven-suppressing great emperor back then was to give her an innate Tao embryo physique. The large black dog had always wanted Yi Fan to give birth to a descendant of the innate saint body Tao embryo. Could it be cough cough? Liu coughed dryly a few times, feeling that he had sinned. Sky Sovereign, did you return this time because of the invasion from another world? Heavenly Emperor Wu Shi walked to Liu's side and looked up at the huge crack in the sky. Sky Sovereign, the enemies from another world are endless. After killing them once, they will come again. Yes, Ancestral Master, we've already killed many invading foreign realm evil devils. Every time we kill them all, it won't be long before they appear again. We can't even kill them all. Zhou Yi, the Xinyuan Saint Master, also looked at the huge crack in the void. We have thought of many ways, and even used the Emperor weapon to seal the crack in the void, but it was also broken by the evil demon. The enemy is very strong. On the other side of the crack, there are even stronger existences than us. Without beginning, he grabbed the bell and handed it over to Liu. Sky Sovereign, look, I used the bell to seal the crack, but it was pierced through by the other party. A huge crack appeared on the dazzling bell of no beginning. It was as if the bell of no beginning had been cut by a sharp blade. This power is very strange. I can't even repair the bell. Without beginning, he pointed at the crack on the bell and shook his head helplessly. Sky Sovereign, can you tell what kind of power this is? This is... Liu reached out and took the bell of no beginning. When he saw the crack on the bell, he frowned and his expression became very serious. Naturally, Liu was very clear about the remaining power on the crack of the bell of no beginning. It was chaos. A sliver of chaotic power tore a huge crack in Emperor Wu Shi's bell of no beginning. As expected, the high heavens has something to do with the celestial emperors. Seeing this sliver of chaos power, Liu was enraged. Damn things, how dare you provoke me again? I haven't settled the score with you yet, and you still want to provoke me? The worlds Liu had experienced had long been regarded as his territory by Liu. Now that the celestial emperors had dared to covet these territories, they had touched Liu's reverse scale. You want to lay your hands on what's mine? You're courting death. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Do you think I don't have any subordinates after all these years? I know what this is, and I know what kind of enemies they are. Liu took a deep breath, a cold glint in his eyes. This is a group of old farts who call themselves the Celestial Emperors. A wisp of chaos, chi, flashed across Liu's hand. He reached out his hand and wiped the remaining trace of chaos on the bell of no beginning, restoring it to its original state. Thank you, Sky Sovereign. Emperor Wu Shi took the bell of no beginning and bowed to express his gratitude. The invasion of another world is unusual. I have something to tell you. Follow me. Liu waved his hand, and a golden beam of light crossed the sky and turned into a golden bridge. It pierced through the void and arrived at a floating island. This was Sky Burial Island, and also the mall outpost that Liu had left in this world. Back then, Liu had used the mall outpost on Sky Burial Island to travel back in time to Celestial Emperor Huang's era. Many years had passed, but Sky Burial Island still looked the same. After Liu arrived, the mall outpost, which was made of 9 dragons pulling a coffin, soared into the sky and circled around. The roars of the dragons shook the world. The Sky Sovereign is back. The Grand Celestial Master is back. In the immortal realm, many figures soared into the sky. Tathagata, Old Dan, Rong Chengzi, Emperor Qing, Emperor Huang, Void Emperor, Emperor Yin, Emperor Eternal Universe, and a group of old acquaintances rushed over, cheering. They were overjoyed to reunite with old friends. Chapter 1504. Greetings, Sky Sovereign. In the main hall of the Sky Burial Island, Liu sat high up in the hall, and everyone bowed to Liu. Everyone, there's no need to be so polite. Liu stretched out his hand to support them, and a wave of energy surged out, helping everyone up. Everyone, the invasion of another world is extraordinary. I had once reversed time, traced back to the past, and arrived at the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang. In the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang, I had already found the truth about the invasion of another world. After everyone sat down, Liu introduced the truth of the so-called invasion of another world to Yi Fan and the others. The Emperorian is truly remarkable. Everyone was full of praise for Li Yu's ability to reverse time. Although almost everyone present had the power to go back in time, to change the past, they would definitely suffer a backlash from the heavens and earth. This was not something an ordinary person could do. In the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang, I discovered this so-called other world. This was a terrifying world known as above the heavens. Once, a drop of blood from above the heavens fell into the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang and destroyed an immortal emperor, causing a terrifying and boundless calamity of darkness that destroyed countless realms. A single drop of blood destroyed an immortal emperor? Hearing Li Yu's words, everyone's faces were filled with shock. How powerful was an immortal emperor? Fan Xian and the others, who had already become immortal emperors, were naturally very clear about the power of an immortal emperor. However, a drop of blood from the heavens had actually destroyed an immortal emperor? A single drop of blood was already so powerful, then what about the owner of this drop of blood? How terrifying would it be? In the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang, Heavenly Emperor Huang, Heavenly Emperor Hao, and the other 12 immortal emperors led hundreds of millions of troops to conquer the heavens. At this point, Li Yu stopped and remained silent for a while. Heavenly Emperor Huang, Heavenly Emperor Hao, and the 12 immortal emperors. Everyone took a deep breath and couldn't come back to their senses for a long time. In the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang, those peerless existences who were invincible throughout the ages had led hundreds of millions of troops to conquer above the heavens. As for the result, there was no need to say it. If Celestial Emperor Huang and the others had succeeded, there wouldn't be any otherworld invasion. Among these people, other than Yi Fan himself, only No Beginning, Vicious, Zhou Yi, and Duanda were at the Immortal Emperor realm. The others were only at the quasi-immortal Emperor realm. This bit of power was incomparable to Heavenly Emperor Huang and the others. Even Heavenly Emperor Huang and the others failed. Can we still succeed? Ancestral Master, you just said that you left behind some arrangements in the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang. I don't know. Zhou, he looked up at Li Yu. Zhou, he was full of confidence in Li Yu. Since the Ancestral Master had a backup plan, he must have a way to resolve this matter. Yeah. Everyone's hearts trembled, and they regained their confidence. Since the Emperorian said so, there must be a way. Indeed, I did leave a backup plan in the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang. Li Yu smiled and nodded. I once left a mark at Heavenly Emperor Hao's place. With this positioning, I can break through time and space and pull everyone from the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang over from the River of Time. The past and the future are one, and we will conquer the heavens together. Everyone was shocked. Reversing time and going back to the past was already very terrifying. You can actually pull people from the past into the future from the River of Time. What kind of earth-shattering divine ability was this? Great! Li Fan Xian clenched his fists, his face full of excitement. We will join forces with Heavenly Emperor Huang and conquer the heavens together. This battle will be won. Yes, victory. In the past and the future, the geniuses from both eras gathered together. Everyone was filled with confidence. Conquering above the heavens, victory. Having confidence is also a good thing. Li Yu smiled as he looked at the crowd, not intending to pour cold water on them. From the looks of it, above the heavens must be related to the Heavenly Emperor of the second step of primordial chaos. It was just that he didn't know if it would be one Heavenly Emperor or more Heavenly Emperors. In front of these Heavenly Emperors at the second step of primordial chaos, the immortal emperors were just soldiers under their command. It's not as easy as you think to defeat above the heavens. Everyone, in order to ensure victory in this battle, we need to further increase our strength. Li Yu turned his head to look at Emperor Qing, Tathagata, and the others. These people were still only quasi-immortal emperors. Only by becoming immortal emperors would they be able to play a role in the battle above the heavens. Ashamed. Seeing Liu look over, Emperor Qing and the others felt a little embarrassed. After so many years of cultivation, he still hadn't been able to take the final step and advance to the immortal emperor realm. He was truly embarrassed to meet others. Your foundations are very deep, and you are only a step away from the immortal emperor realm. Liu smiled and nodded. Fine, I'll help you out and help you break through this layer of paper. With a wave of his hand, a mysterious, aloof, and indescribable aura spread out, enveloping Emperor Qing and the others. Boom! As if heaven and earth had just been created, endless Taoist rhymes flowed out of this inexplicable aura. The 3,000 great Taos and all the laws in the world were contained in it. Under this aura, endless Taoist rhymes flowed in his heart in just an instant. Enlightenment of the great Tao and the truth of heaven and earth kept surging in his heart. I see. Today I know that I am me. Emperor Qing slowly opened his eyes. A lotus in the blue sea and blue sky. Green light shone all over the sky. Emperor Qing suddenly broke through the last barrier and advanced to the immortal emperor realm. Buddha, I am Buddha. Golden light shone, and the Buddhist light was vast and mighty. Tathagata put his palms together, and his face was full of mercy. What is longevity? This is longevity. A huge ginseng fruit tree rushed out from Rong Chengzi's head, and the immortal light was like rain, mysterious and unpredictable. One chi into 3 pure ones. 3 figures rushed out from Old Dan's head, and the mighty green chi rushed into the sky. The void is gone, and Xin Yuan is me. The yellow emperor, void emperor, opened his eyes with a smile and stood with his hands behind his back. His magnificent body seemed to be indomitable. The sacred flame of the human Tao will never be extinguished. The flame emperor, eternal universe emperor, S entire body surged with flames, like the lights of 10,000 homes in the mortal world. At this moment, Emperor Qing and the others broke through the barrier and advanced to the immortal emperor realm. Congratulations to all the great emperors on obtaining the great Tao. Li Fanxian and the others were overjoyed as they bowed to congratulate Emperor Qing and the others. Thank you for your guidance, Sky Sovereign. Emperor Qing and the others put away their own strange phenomena and bowed to Liu. The Grand Empyrean was indeed resourceful. With a wave of his hand, he was able to advance 6 quasi-immortal emperors. This kind of power was simply beyond everyone's imagination. We already have 11 immortal emperors, and with the power of Heavenly Emperor Huang, we will definitely defeat above the heavens. Everyone's faces were filled with joy, and they were full of confidence in defeating above the heavens. This is far from enough. There are only a few dozen immortal emperors. How could this little bit of strength be enough? Liu shook his head inwardly. But this humble Taoist subordinates are more than this. Chapter 1505. Celestial Master, let's go down and prepare for war. After the discussion, everyone bid their farewells and returned to their respective territories to prepare for war. You are not the main force of the battle. Looking at their backs, Liu shook his head. If there's really a celestial emperor behind above heaven, I will have to go down personally. Only chaos could deal with chaos. If Liu did not go down personally, no matter how many celestial emperors came, they would only be crushed into nothingness by the chaos. Let's go to the void crack and see what's going on. Looking up into the sky, there was a huge crack that stretched across the sky. It was as if someone had slashed at the void with a sword, cutting a large piece of the void. Liu stepped out and came to the edge of the void crack in an instant. There is indeed a residual force of chaos, which prevents the void crack from closing. Coming to the edge of the void crack, Liu could clearly feel the residual force of chaos on the void crack. This aura, it is indeed a celestial emperor. In the Pearl of Origin's Eldritch World, Liu had already dealt with these celestial emperors who were incarnations of celestial emperors. At that time, Liu used the Pearl of Origin's Eldritch World to kill a group of celestial emperors' avatars with a sovereign seal. He was naturally familiar with the aura of celestial emperors. Judging from the residual aura, this is Junti from the Eldritch World. Of course, Junti was just an incarnation. The real identity of this celestial emperor was naturally not Junti. The so-called celestial emperor of Taishuan's identity in the Eldritch World was Guide. Now, this Junti is naturally another celestial emperor of the same level as celestial emperor of Taishian. Liu raised his head to look at the void crack, and a cold glint appeared in his eyes. Since I've already determined that you are behind this, I can only give you a hard time. These celestial emperors had attacked Liu several times. With Liu's temper, if it were not for the fact that he could not find their nest, he would have already beaten them up. Now that he had discovered the beyond heaven, he naturally had to trample it. Back then, in the destroyed world of the Origin Pearl, I discovered many silver-armored divine generals pierced by spears and standing upright on the ground. Inside the Pearl of Origin, Liu also saw from the River of Time that the goddess waved a green club full of sharp thorns and smashed the old dragon firmament into smithereens. After killing a heavenly emperor, Her Majesty also executed the heavenly generals under heaven. These divine generals were all immortal emperors. This firmament is also a heavenly emperor. He has 100,000 silver-armored heavenly generals under his command. That's 100,000 immortal emperors. Liu recalled Little Stone's attack on the high heavens and couldn't help but grimace. Even if the high heavens was only the territory of a celestial emperor, the strength of his subordinates would definitely not be weaker than the dead firmament, right? A dozen immortal emperors against 100,000 immortal emperors. The result, if I don't help you, it will be a tragedy for Little Stone to decide everything for you. Liu smiled and shook his head. Not only was Little Stone a tragedy, if Liu didn't come, Yi Fan and the others would also be in a tragedy. No wonder when he was in the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang, he saw that deathly, still frozen space and that dilapidated space. Although what he saw back then was only a possibility in the future. However, if Liu didn't make a move, then this possibility would be inevitable. 100,000 immortal emperor-level divine generals. We still have to think of a way to deal with them. Although Liu could combine the armies of Heavenly Emperor Huang and Yi Fan, they still wouldn't be able to gather 100,000 immortal emperors. If Liu were to personally take action, he would definitely have to deal with one or several heavenly emperors, and would no longer be able to deal with these divine generals. Soldier to soldier, general to general. These 100,000 divine generals naturally had to think of another way to deal with them. The power of a world naturally can't gather 100,000 immortal emperors. But I have more than one world in my hands. Over the years, Liu had traveled through the myriad of worlds, and those worlds had long been marked by Liu. With the system host and the shopping mall stronghold, Liu had long since regarded these worlds as his own territory. If you don't have enough manpower, then call for help. Liu's mind stirred, and he turned around to return to this world's shopping mall stronghold, Heaven Burial Island. Standing in the middle of the hall, Liu stretched out his hand and pressed down, causing a vast and mighty divine radiance to sweep out. Rumble. Endless radiance erupted from Heaven Burial Island. An intense, rumbling sound shook the heavens and the earth. A boundless power followed the connection between the systems, piercing through the myriad of worlds and countless space-time continuums. This is what's the sky's sovereign doing now. Yi Fan and the others, who had returned to prepare for battle, saw the commotion caused by Heaven Burial Island. They all raised their heads and looked towards Heaven Burial Island. I presume the sky's sovereign is preparing for the great battle. We also need to make preparations as soon as possible. Everyone felt a sense of urgency in their hearts. They all opened their vaults and distributed all sorts of divine weapons, all sorts of spiritual medicines and divine materials, quickly forming their own armies. On Heaven Burial Island, Liu released his own power, and through the system connection, it pierced through the myriad of worlds. In my name, gather the army. Send the order to prepare for battle. Through the system connection, the vast and mighty voice spread throughout the myriad of worlds. The sky's sovereign has ordered us to gather the army and prepare for battle. In a fire domain that was filled with raging flames, a stalwart man dressed in golden armor and holding a demon subduing pestle suddenly stood up from his meditation. Sky sovereign summon, we will not shirk our duty. A man with 9 pairs of flaming wings spread out behind him. He held a black heavy ruler in his hand and stepped on the flames as he walked out. Back then, the two of us received the great kindness of the sky's sovereign, which was why we were able to possess such illustrious reputations as the Flame Emperor and Yellow Emperor that shook the great 1,000 worlds. How can we retreat when the sky's sovereign summons us? The man holding the demon subduing pestle had a resolute expression on his face. Of course, it's time to let the people of the other world feel the prestige of the Shao brothers. The wings formed by the flames spread out, and the sky was filled with flames, illuminating the world. In another world, children, His Majesty Emperor Yu has ordered us to prepare for battle. We will follow His Majesty to conquer the heavens. A giant golden ape with a giant club in its hand stood on the mountain peak and roared, "Conquer the heavens!" Below, countless giant violent apes raised their clubs and roared at the sky. The East Sea Dragon Tribe, the Chelan of the Great Earth, the Nine-Tailed Fox of Green Hill, and the various forces of the Yang God world all moved and prepared for battle. I am Li Feiyu, the Chongqing Immortal Emperor. I am Han Li, the Qingxia Immortal Emperor. Send orders to all forces in the mystic realm to prepare for battle. We will follow my brother to conquer the heavens. Li Feiyu and Han Li, who had ascended to the celestial realm and controlled one of the mystic realms, sent orders to prepare for battle. His Majesty has ordered us to prepare for battle. On Dragon Island, giant dragons soared into the sky, and dragon roars shook the heavens. I am Sacred Lord Baohua. Send orders to the demon realm to prepare for battle. In the demon realm, a colorful Xintian flower tree seemed to support the heavens and earth. My name is Wang Yu. I am Wang Lin. I am Meng Hao. Send orders to the world to prepare for battle. Under Li Yu's order, the various worlds entered a tense state of preparation for battle. The war machine had already been activated. Chapter 1506. I am Yodian. In the name of the Burning Legion, I am here to prepare for war. A winged demon raised a great sword and roared towards the heavens. War? When have I, majestic bro, ever feared anyone? Xian, Zheng, wake everyone up. We are going to war. An enormous black tortoise roared, its entire body emanating a cold aura. I am Gu Chongqing, the Lord of Numinous Treasures. I am Meng Qi, the primeval Lord of Heaven. Pass down my orders. Prepare for war. Within the Autarka's world, the 3 purities announced to the world that they were to prepare for war. I am Lu Ziqing. I am Luo Feng. Send my orders to the various races of the universe. Prepare for war. One battleship after another soared into the skies of the Devourer universe. I am Du Bai, the Demon Master of Freedom. I am Kong Ji, the 5 Elements Tao Father. I am Shi Xian, the Yin Yang Tao Father. Send my orders to the world. Prepare for war. Within the Loose Destroyer universe, the various powers began to mobilize. The Exalted Celestial has ordered us to prepare for war. An enormous yellow bear charged out from the earth. I am Qi Heng, the Autarch of Hunyuan. Prepare for war. I am Ji Ning, the Autarch of the wilderness. Send my orders to the world. Prepare for war. Sword Light soared into the heavens, and his voice echoed throughout the infinite void. His Majesty Emperor Yu is summoning an army? Send my orders to the various races of the wilderness. Prepare for war. Within the wilderness, a five-colored peacock soared into the skies. A pure white, nine-tailed fox soared into the skies. A ginseng fruit tree towered into the heavens. I am Sargeras, the lord of the burning legion. I am Ilya, the demon king of terror. His Majesty Audouin has ordered the burning legion to prepare for war. Within the void, a group of beautiful warriors raised their weapons and let out wild roars. The holy light has given me a revelation. The power of evil is about to descend. Prepare for war. Purify the evil. I am Uther, the emissary of the holy light. I am Count Antares. Vivian, tyrant, gather the armies. We are about to set out. Sauron, Illidan, raised his flaming crescent blade and shouted at the elven priest beside him. All the worlds in the universe that Liu had tampered with were mobilized. It's a pity the level of their power is uneven. Liu received responses from the various realms and expressed his appreciation for their active preparations for war. However, the difference in strength was too great. In some worlds, even if one cultivated to the peak, they still couldn't destroy a star. In some worlds, when one reached the pinnacle of cultivation, one could destroy a part of the universe with a wave of their hand. With such a huge difference, if they were to team up and fight together, those who were slightly weaker would not even be considered cannon fodder. They were completely worthless. We must increase their strength. In terms of strength, Wang Lin, Meng Hao, and the others were on the same level as Yi Fan and Little Rock. Extermination, supreme of the world, devouring starry sky, desolation. The level of power in these places was not inferior to Yi Fan's. However, the level of power of the other worlds was far inferior. I have also benefited a lot from you. Now, it's time to give back to the customers. Liu chuckled, and with a flick of his finger, the system in his mind shook, and an invisible force was transmitted to the systems of the various system hosts through the system connection. System set up the military position blessing function. Through the system connection, Liu added a new rule to the system of the various hosts. Anyone who joins the Imperial Army and obtains the title of soldier will have the strength of an immortal king. Anyone who obtains the title of lieutenant will have the strength of a quasi-mortal emperor. On the other hand, those who obtain the title of general will have the strength of an immortal emperor. Anyone who obtains the title of commander will have the strength of a first step of chaos. The entire Imperial Army, everyone's armor and weapons will all receive the support of the chaotic force. A single word was the law of the world. Back then, when he was creating the system, Liu had already left room for leveling up. Now is the right time to add this rule. I don't have 100,000 immortal emperors, but I can create countless immortal emperors. Liu looked in the direction of the crack in the void, and a cold smile appeared on his face. System hosts and protagonists will have the strength of a first step of chaos, and countless immortal emperors, quasi-mortal emperors, and even the soldiers are of immortal king level. Let's see how you play. There were at least 100,000 immortal emperor-level divine generals in the high heavens, and there were definitely countless lower-level forces. The Imperial Army that Liu had gathered was the main force to deal with these divine generals and minions. It's just that, with such a wide range of blessings, if I were to provide all the energy for myself, then my combat strength would basically be crippled. With so many blessings, how could Liu have any strength left to fight against the Heavenly Emperor? He definitely couldn't provide all the blessings from himself. System, I have already collected the laws of the various worlds. In essence, I can already be considered as the heavenly Tao of the various worlds. So, Liu raised his arm. In the name of you, I will unify all the Taos of the heavens. Together with the two origin pearls, we will share the burden of the blessing. Other than the various worlds, Liu had already obtained the great wasteland world's origin pearl, and the heavens that the Empress had killed had also left behind a origin pearl. These two origin pearls had already fallen into Liu's control. The origin of the origin pearl was even more tyrannical than the 10,000 worlds of the heavens. It could become the main source of the blessing, the establishment of the laws. The strength of the imperial army from the 10,000 worlds of the heavens had skyrocketed. Each and every one of them was ready to go to war. Sky Sovereign, we are ready. Sky Sovereign, please swear an oath to go to war. On this day, Yi Fan, Wu Shi, and the others each brought a huge army of cultivators and arrived at the Sky Burial Island in a grandiose manner. The banners were like clouds, and the swords and spears were like a forest. Huge troops were lined up neatly outside the Sky Burial Island. His fighting spirit was high, and his killing intent was monstrous. I am the Grand Empyrean. Liu led a group of immortal emperors and stepped out of the main hall. On the Sky Burial Island, 9 huge dragons roared toward the sky. Immortal light shone, and auspicious clouds lingered around them. Liu stood in the air, his divine radiance vast and mighty, shaking the void. His mighty voice echoed in the void. Just by saying his name, the heavens and earth were resonating, and even the great Tao was resonating. Everything in the world, the laws of the great Tao, everything bowed and worshipped in front of Liu. Greetings, Grand Empyrean. The heroes bowed their heads, the 4 directions submitted, and all living beings bowed their heads. Today, there is a demonic region outside the heavens that calls itself above the heavens. The demons of this world were barbaric and ruthless, slaughtering the world and overflowing with blood. The demons invaded my territory, killed my clansmen, and brought disaster to the common people. Liu reached out and pulled out the profound yellow sword from his waist, pointing at the sky. The demons are wreaking havoc on the world. How can we just sit by and watch? My soldiers, is your sword sharp? The edge of the sword is sharp. The various military formations let out earth-shattering roars, and sword lights soared into the sky, straight into the clouds. Everyone, follow me to wipe out the demons and trample on the heavens above. Kill! The sound of killing shook the heavens. The huge army soared into the sky. Under the lead of Liu and the others, they charged towards the spatial crack. Chapter 1507. Sky Sovereign, there is a huge force blocking the rift in the void. Li Fanxian pointed at the crack in the void in front of him and said to Liu, Sky Sovereign, this power is very strange and also very powerful. We have never been able to find a way to break through. With the temper of Yi Fan and the others, if it wasn't for the fact that they couldn't enter, they would have already killed their way into the heavens above. However, because there was the chaos force blocking the spatial crack, they couldn't enter at all. Block! Liu raised his eyes to look at the spatial crack and coldly snorted. You think this little bit of power can stop me? Raising his arm, a vast and mighty divine radiance rushed out from Liu's palm. Where is the carriage? With a loud shout, his voice reverberated throughout the world. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion sounded out in the air. The golden light was resplendent and holy. Ong! 9 enormous golden dragons pulling a chariot tore through the rift and approached Xinan. Each golden dragon was 1,000 miles long. Their enormous bodies shone with a brilliant golden radiance, sacred and noble. 9 golden dragons pulled a carriage that was like a huge city. They stepped on auspicious clouds and rode on golden rainbows as they flew through the void. The divine radiance was vast and mighty, illuminating the world. Your Majesty, the carriage is here. The primal chaos dragon, Dragon Mother, drove the 9 dragons' Rui carriage and stopped in front of Liu. This is 9 true dragons? 9 true dragons pulling the carriage? Seeing this heaven-shaking and majestic carriage, everyone present was dumbstruck. As expected of an Empyrean, even Yi Fan and the others were praising Liu's carriage. The driver's killing intent was shocking, as if he was the source of slaughter and destruction. His strength was equivalent to an immortal emperor. The 9 true dragons pulling the carriage were like the ancestors of dragons. Their auras were vast and boundless. Their bloodlines were sacred and noble, and their strength was not inferior to that of an immortal emperor. Even pulling a carriage was an immortal emperor. Should it be said that he was indeed worthy of being called the Grand Empyrean? With this carriage, the Sky Sovereign is able to bring all the troops into the carriage. There's no need to worry about breaking through the cracks in the void. Without beginning, he looked at the carriage in front of him and nodded with a smile. The carriage is ours. The army has other arrangements. Liu smiled and raised his arm again. Mighty divine light surged from his hand. Where is Basha? Roar. Dragon roars shook the heavens. An earth-shattering explosion erupted in the void as a boundless black shadow, which seemed to cover the entire sky, came crashing down from all directions. Boom, 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 boom. The extremely heavy footsteps seemed to shatter the void and the heaven and earth. A humongous black shadow walked over from the void step by step. What's that? Everyone was shocked when they saw the huge figure rushing out of the void. It was simply too big. That huge figure spanned across the galaxy. Even a toe was bigger than a planet. Dragon turtle. It's a gigantic dragon turtle. Someone realized the truth and cried out in shock. There's actually such a huge dragon turtle. Look, on the back of the dragon turtle. There is a city on the dragon turtle's back. A cultivator pointed at the dragon turtle and shouted, "It's too shocking. There's actually such a huge dragon turtle and such a huge city." This was Dragon's son Basha. The city on its back was naturally Liu's sovereign palace. During Celestial Emperor Huang's era, Liu had rebuilt the sovereign palace and brought Dragon's son Basha back to South Parting Island, where it became the main palace of the immortal court of Yu Huang Heaven. Boom! The enormous dragon's son Basha arrived in front of Liu with the Supreme Hall on his back. Basha is here by imperial decree. Greetings, Yu Huang de Tianzuan. A gigantic head that seemed to pierce through the Milky Way fell from the void. Dragon's son Basha lowered his head and kowtowed to Liu. Generals of the immortal court are here by imperial decree. Greetings, Yu Huang de Tianzuan. Figures with vast auras flew out of the sovereign palace on Dragon's son Basha's back. 100,000 soldiers of the immortal court, dressed in bright armor and wielding spears and swords, lined up in a neat formation and bowed to Liu. The generals of these heavenly soldiers were transformed from the great emperors and immortal kings that Liu had captured from shrouding heaven and perfect back then. With the great emperor and the immortal king as the foundation, they absorbed the experts of the main world and formed a Yu Huang Tan, immortal court's heavenly soldiers. Greetings, Yu Huang de Tianzuan. Behind the heavenly soldiers, a group of fire phoenixes, ice phoenixes, golden crows, jade rabbits, and true dragons rushed out from the supreme palace. They all bowed to Liu. These divine beasts were brought back by Liu from the sun god world and the mortal world. After raising them for so many years, this group of divine beasts had already grown up. Are they all subordinates of the Sky Sovereign? Seeing the immortal court soldiers and the group of divine beasts, Fan and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. The weakest of these heavenly soldiers was at the immortal king realm. There were at least 3,000 immortal emperors. Those divine beasts were basically all immortal kings. The Empyrean actually had such a powerful force under his command. Please rise. Liu waved his hand towards the immortal court's heavenly soldiers and the group of divine beasts, then turned his head to look at the army formation that Yi Fan and the others had gathered. All soldiers, listen up. Quickly follow the immortal court's soldiers and ascend the supreme palace. The reason he brought Dragon Son Basya over was to use it as a mobile base. The army of cultivators from all over the world had entered the Supreme Palace. Wherever they went, they would fight. This was very convenient. One had to know. The Supreme Palace was also a logistics base. Back then, in the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang, Liu had given Xiaohao a Supreme Palace system and had also set up martial arts hall, artifact refining pavilion, pill room, and other functional buildings. Liu's own Supreme Palace naturally had these functions as well. Wow, come and see. Refining pavilion. As long as the materials were provided, any weapon could be refined. Even if it was an immortal emperor's weapon, he could still refine it as he pleased. I've also found a pill room here. Do Yi Jin Dan. It can pass through a certain death calamity. Martial Arts Hall. It could be a virtual battle. It can also increase one's perception. After entering the Supreme Palace, the cultivator legions of this world were completely dumbfounded when they saw all kinds of magical buildings in the Supreme Palace, as if they were bumpkins entering a city. Sky's sovereign. Sure enough, it's a big deal. Yi Fan and the others were also very surprised by the commotion that Li Yu had caused. Let's go. Let's get on the carriage and get ready to set off. Li Yu smiled and nodded, leading everyone towards the Nine Dragons Rui carriage. Greetings, Your Majesty. The Nine Dragons Rui carriage lit up with a ray of light, and the door slowly opened. A golden rainbow descended from the door and landed at Li Yu's feet. Kai Yi, Xiaoling, Pan Shi, and the other harem girls stood at the entrance of the carriage and bowed to Li Yu. Thank you for your hard work. Li Yu nodded towards Kai Yi and the others, stepped onto the golden rainbow, and led everyone into the Nine Dragons Rui carriage. Chapter 1508. Stepping into the chariot, there was a huge space inside. Green mountains, clear water, and green grass. Huge palaces stood between the mountains and rivers. The Nine Dragons Rui carriage had been refined by Li Yu several times. At this moment, the space inside the Nine Dragons Rui carriage was a huge, small world. Everyone, please come in. Li Yu led everyone into a huge palace. Everyone took their seats in the main hall. Everyone, let's rest for a moment. Let Dragon Mother drive the chariot and follow Basha through the void crack. Li Yu smiled and nodded at the crowd. Sky Sovereign, Li Fan, and the others were extremely amazed by Li Yu's handiwork. They had spent countless amounts of effort to break through the spatial rift, but in front of an Empyrean, they only needed to sit in the carriage and rest. Why was the difference between people so big? Everyone, please have some tea and wine. Kai, he led the girls, picked up the immortal fruits and immortal wine, and placed them on the table in front of everyone. For many years, Li Yu had been farming in the garden of the Immortal Mansion. Thanks to Tung Qing, the hard-working gardener, who would not transform even if he was beaten to death, and under the watering of the heavenly fortune dew, the immortal fruits and spiritual items produced by Li Yu's immortal garden were piled up like a mountain. Peach of immortality, ginseng fruit, yellow plum, virtuous golden lotus seed, primal chaos green lotus seed. Even such a treasure was eaten by the girls as snacks, not to mention other things. That pearl of Origen's great wasteland world had fallen into Li Yu's hands, so there was no need to ask where these things came from. This is seeing the plates of immortal fruits on the table. Everyone was dumbfounded. There's actually such a spiritual item? Leaf the Sail swallowed a ginseng fruit and felt refreshed. This thing, it seems to be a bit similar to the fruit of my tree. However, the effect is much stronger. Rong Chung picked up a ginseng fruit and blinked his eyes, unable to come back to his senses for a long time. In a shrouded heaven world, the ginseng fruit immortal medicine is Rong Chungzi's thing. At this moment, when Rong Chungzi saw the ginseng fruit that Li Yu took out, he suddenly felt that his ginseng fruit seemed to be a counterfeit compared with the ginseng fruit in front of him. Your ginseng fruit is fine, but when I look at this, it's like looking at myself. The lotus Tharch picked up a chaotic green lotus seed with a gloomy expression. This was especially so when Ruthless grabbed a handful of primal chaos green lotus seeds and munched on them nonstop. The Lotus Emperor felt as if he had been eaten alive. Ha ha! Everyone burst into laughter. However, in everyone's hearts, they were even more shocked by Li Yu's wealth. Emperor, please have some wine. Kai picked up the wine pot and poured a cup of wine for boundless heavenly emperor. You flatter me. You flatter me. Immortal. No Beginning took the wine bottle and quickly got up to thank Kai. Fairy status is honorable. I can't afford to have Fairy refill my wine. I'm just as Majesty's maid. What's so noble about that? You flatter me, Emperor. Kai smiled, put down the wine pot, and turned to leave. Maid, No Beginning was stunned for a long time. No Beginning could sense that Kai's cultivation was boundless and unfathomable. It was far beyond the immortal emperor realm. Such a peerless expert Was only a celestial venerable's made? Celestial venerable, just how strong are you? Even an immortal emperor, true dragon, could only pull a carriage for a celestial venerable. It seemed normal for a maid's cultivation to be far beyond the immortal emperor realm. Celestial venerables were indeed unfathomable. Your Majesty, there's a fortress up ahead. While everyone was drinking and chatting in the main hall, Xie Ling, who was dressed in five-colored armor, walked into the main hall and reported to Li Yu. Oh, the fortress of the foreign demons. Li Yu stood up and smiled at the crowd. Let's go and see what the evil demon's past looks like. Everyone stood up and followed Li Yu out of the main hall and out of the Nine Dragons Rui carriage. Standing on a vast observation deck outside the chariot, everyone raised their heads and looked forward. They were still in the middle of a spatial rift. Streams of void turbulence swept out, sweeping up huge turbulent storms. These turbulent storms were extremely powerful. Even an ordinary immortal king would be shredded to pieces if they encountered them. Rumble, rumble. The 9 huge golden dragons rampaged through the turbulent windstorm, their powerful bodies directly crushing the void turbulence. An immortal emperor, true dragon, naturally had enough divine might. Behind the chariot, the gigantic dragon son Basha carried the city-sized supreme hall and followed behind the chariot. Such a huge commotion naturally alarmed the foreign demons in the spatial rift. Far away in the void crack, an incomparably huge city stood tall and lofty. The majestic walls seemed to cut off the entire void. On the city wall, every brick shone with endless starlight. Every brick on the city wall was condensed from a star. The wall of stars, this thing, it's a bit similar to the imperial pass from the era of Heavenly Emperor Huang. Li Yu smiled, not paying much attention to this wall of stars. Stars. Everyone present was an existence that could destroy stars with a flick of their fingers. Those are the foreign demons. Above the city wall, there was a huge military formation densely packed together. That was countless gods and demons. There were giants that were tens of thousands of feet tall like mountains. There were vicious birds with wings that covered the sky and covered the sun. There was also a huge monster that floated in the air like a star. Roar, roar. Roars that shook the void rushed up from the top of the city. Blood, brutality, madness, ruthlessness, a terrifying killing intent that overflowed into the heavens seemed to want to break through this void. Here, there are actually over 1,000 immortal emperor-level demons. Sensing the aura on the city wall, the faces of Fan and the others became extremely solemn. This was only halfway there, and they hadn't even truly entered the above the heavens. Just a city on the way had over 1,000 immortal emperors and hundreds of millions of soldiers. Then what kind of strength would the true above the heavens have? The demons that attacked our world were sent out from the city, right? Without beginning, he looked at the city with a solemn expression. From the past, every time the demons attacked, there would be no more than 10 immortal emperor-level existences. It was obvious that the demons in the city had not used their full strength at all. If these 1,000 immortal emperor-level demons led hundreds of millions of soldiers and charged into the shrouding the heavens world together, this world should have been destroyed long ago, right? The attack of the demons. Was it just for fun? And why was that? I'm afraid this is deliberately targeting me. Li Yu's expression also became somewhat ugly. Above the heavens must be related to the heavenly emperor. Did they attack the shrouding heaven world just to lure me out? Chapter 1509. It's very likely that there's a trap above the heavens. Having tricked people for countless years and been the mastermind behind the scenes for countless years, Li Yu is extremely sensitive to things like digging traps. Seeing this situation, Li Yu immediately understood after a moment of thought. There was probably a huge trap waiting for him here above the heavens. Back then, Celestial Emperor Tai Xian, also known as Dark Heaven, schemed against me once. That Celestial Emperor Tai Xian found Li Yu from the Pearl of Origin, and then had Li Yu transmigrate to the main world which was the current Yu Emperor Heaven. Celestial Emperor Taishian did this to possess the Son of Chaos. When Liu grew up and took his first step into the chaos, Celestial Emperor Taishian used the statue of Yu Huang de Tianzuan to lure Liu over and trap Liu. If it weren't for the existence of a system, the proof of chaos, Liu would have been killed by Celestial Emperor Taishian at that time. Celestial Emperor Taishian once said that he possessed me in order to use the identity of the Son of Chaos to enter the land of origin. Liu frowned and fell into deep thought. What secrets are hidden in this land of origin? Within the destroyed origin bead of heaven, Liu saw the scene of the past. Her Majesty smashed Firmament's old dragon to death with one blow. At that time, Liu still remembered the words that the old dragon said before he died. What did I do wrong? He's already dead. The ruler is already dead. Without a ruler, there's no origin. The myriad realms are like rootless duckweed, a dream and a bubble. Once the day of destruction comes, we will all vanish into thin air. What did I do wrong? If the ruler is dead, why can't I become the new ruler? This was the roar of Firmament's old dragon before he died. When he finished speaking, Her Majesty smashed him to death with one blow. Without a ruler, there's no origin. Liu seemed to understand something. The reason why the Celestial Emperors had schemed so hard to find a way to enter the land of origin was definitely because of this source. If the ruler is dead, why can't I become the new ruler? That's the reason for everything. Which Celestial Emperor in the second step of the chaos didn't want to step into the third step? Who didn't want to be the new ruler? So, this time, using above firmament to trick me must also be to enter the land of origin to become the new ruler of the chaos. But what role did that Her Majesty play in all this? After Her Majesty, Her Majesty's Majesty, Her Majesty's Her Majesty, Her Majesty, Her Celestial Emperor as her. What kind of secret was hidden in this? Can't be bothered. Liu looked up at the city in the distance, and his eyes turned cold. If you want to trick me, let's see who's more ruthless. Sky Sovereign, we're very close to the city. Yi Fan walked to Liu's side and pointed at the city in front of him. Sky Sovereign, do you want to give the order to attack? There were a lot of evil spirits in the city. There were over 1,000 immortal emperors, and they were extremely powerful. However, Liu's lineup was even more terrifying. The Immortal Court's heavenly soldiers had more than 3,000 immortal emperor-level generals, so there was no doubt that they would flatten the city. Attack? Liu turned around and glanced at Yi Fan, then nodded with a smile. Yes, we are going to attack, but there was no need to send out an army. I alone am enough to attack. After saying that, Liu's figure flashed, and he stepped out of the carriage, stepping into the turbulent flow of space. Sky Sovereign, you are attacking alone. Seeing Liu step into the void and walk towards the city, Yi Fan was stunned. How can this be? We're all together. Don't be nervous. The power of the Empyrean is probably far beyond our imaginations. Without beginning, he reached out to grab Yi Fan and shook his head with a smile. Do you know? Just now, when I was drinking in the Great Hall, that woman called Sai poured wine for me. I can clearly feel that Sai's strength far surpasses mine. Far better than you? Yi Fan's expression froze, and he opened his mouth wide. It can't be. A maid's strength is actually far better than yours. The maids are already so strong. The strength of an Empyrean. It's not just Sai. Ruthless glanced at Yi Fan and sighed. The others are also very terrifying. I feel that. I can't defeat any of those women. It's actually so strong. Yi Fan couldn't help but be speechless. Those women were all Liu's inner residents, so Yi Fan definitely couldn't stare at them. That would be too rude. Because of the wine, he could feel it at a close distance. Ruthless was a woman, so he naturally saw it more clearly. That's right. After so many years, the Empyrean strength has become even more unfathomable. Emperor Qing and the others also walked over. Looking at Liu striding forward in the void all the way to the past city, the Lotus Emperor's face was full of amazement. The primal chaos green lotus seed was eaten as a snack, and Emperor Qing was already shivering in fright. Emperor Qing's original body was the primal chaos green lotus. Then let's wait for the Empyrean to break through the enemy and watch the Empyrean unleash his divine might. Without beginning, he chuckled and stood with his hands behind his back. That's right. Let's see the Empyrean unleash his divine might. Everyone smiled and nodded as they looked forward. In the air, Liu walked in the air. His white clothes were purer than snow, and his sleeves fluttered in the wind as if he was taking a stroll in the courtyard. Light shone beneath his feet, and with every step he took, pure white lotuses bloomed beneath his feet. The flowers bloomed and withered, and lotuses bloomed with every step. Before long, Liu had already arrived outside the city. Roar above the city, billions of gods and demons roared crazily. A monstrous blood aura soared into the sky, shaking the void. Ants of the lower realms, you dare to trespass into my emperor's sacred territory? You're courting death. Above the city wall, there was a monster with the head of a human and the body of a beast that was 30,000 meters tall and covered with massive spikes. Its body gave off a blood-red light as it roared at Liu. Kill! 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 Above the city, billions of demons roared crazily, their cries shaking the sky. Liu completely ignored the commotion in the city. His gaze seemed to have crossed the city, penetrated the cracks in the void, and looked at the unknown world. Didn't you want to lure me here? Didn't you want to dig a hole for me? A cold light flashed in Liu's cold eyes. He reached out and pulled out the profound yellow sword and slowly raised it. Then let the blood of billions of demons announce my arrival. Vast and mighty light surged from the hornet sword, piercing through heaven and earth and through the void. Scum, I'm already here. With a roar, Liu swung his hornet sword and slashed at the city. Clang, the shrill sound of the sword resounded through the sky, and the mighty sword light swept through the world. With one slash, time and space collapsed, matter was annihilated, and laws no longer existed. Under the sweeping sweep of the sword light, all matter, all energy, all order, and all laws disappeared. Everything returned to nothingness. Huh. Behind him, everyone who saw this scene was dumbfounded. We all know that the Empyrean is very strong, but this is too strong. This was already beyond imagination and comprehension. Chapter 15:10. Victory! Victory! The sky's sovereign is mighty. The sky's sovereign is invincible. In the supreme palace behind him, when they saw Liu destroy the city with his sword and the billions of demons vanish into thin air, the cultivator army cheered loudly. The might of the sky sovereign. When Liu returned to the carriage, Yi Fan and the others cupped their fists towards Liu. Destroying the city in one strike wasn't too terrifying. However, even the thousands of immortal emperors and billions of demons in the city were all killed in one strike. This was very terrifying. One had to know that Yi Fan and the others were only immortal emperors. In front of an Empyrean, he was just a target that could be killed in one strike. Sky Sovereign, this above the heavens, is probably not simple. After returning to the carriage and sitting down in the Great Hall, Wuxia looked at Liu with a serious expression. A single city, and this is only the periphery of above the heavens. There are already over 1,000 immortal emperors. Once we go deeper into the heavens, the enemy will probably be even more powerful. The worry of no beginning was not without reason. Even if Liu's family was included, there are only 3,000 or so immortal emperor-level experts. Once they went deep into the heavens, they would definitely encounter even more immortal emperor-level enemies. It was no wonder that during the chaotic ancient era, Heavenly Emperor Huang's army failed to attack the heavens. At most, Heavenly Emperor Huang only had a dozen or so immortal emperor-level powers. With this little bit of power, he probably wouldn't even be able to break through the outer perimeter, right? Everyone, there's no need to worry. Liu smiled and waved his hand. The power of above the heavens is indeed very powerful. My initial estimate is that there will be 100,000 immortal Emperor-level enemies above the heavens. However, I've already found reinforcements. Our strength is not inferior to that of above the heavens. The so-called 100,000 immortal emperors was still Li Yu's words. Above the heavens, there was at least one heavenly emperor. A heavenly emperor had 100,000 immortal emperors under his command. If this conspiracy involved many heavenly emperors, then the enemy would not only be 100,000 immortal emperors. If the 8 heavenly emperors were to attack together, they would probably have to face hundreds of thousands of immortal emperors. However, from the Pearl of Origin's Great Desolation world, the relationship between these celestial emperors was not entirely of the same mind. Everyone had their own plans. This situation was also very reasonable. After all, they were all existences at the second step of primal chaos. Who wouldn't want to advance to the third step of primal chaos? Who wouldn't want to become the Lord of Chaos? Between these heavenly emperors, there was bound to be a competitive relationship. Therefore, Li Yu felt that the possibility of him being besieged by a group of celestial emperors this time was relatively small. Does Sky Sovereign still have reinforcements? That's great. Hearing Li Yu say reinforcements, everyone was overjoyed. Although the 100,000 immortal emperors were a bit scary, since the celestial sovereign said so, the strength of the reinforcements must be very strong, enough to fight against the 100,000 immortal emperors. The 9 Dragons Rui carriage was still moving forward. Basya followed closely behind with the Supreme Hall on his back. They passed through the endless void and hurried towards the direction of the heavens. The void was vast and boundless. Even with the speed of the 9 Dragons Rui carriage and Dragon Son Basya, it still took them an entire month to cross the spatial rift. In front of him, a patch of dark red appeared in the dusky void. From afar, it looked like a blood-red ocean. It was as if the endless blood had turned into a vast and boundless sea of blood. Bright red waves of blood surged, and the smell of blood filled the sky. That's above the heavens? It's so bloody, it really is the land of the evil demons. Li Yu, Yi Fan, and the others stood on the observation deck of the carriage, looking at the blood-red world in front of them. Their hearts were extremely heavy. In the eyes of the crowd, even if it was an evil demon, it shouldn't have made its own territory so bloody. This was a vast and boundless sea of blood. How many people did he have to kill to be able to bleed so much? The carriage was still flying. As they got closer and closer, the blood-red world in front of them became clearer and clearer. In the blood-red ocean, other than the churning waves of blood, there were also islands. These islands, they were all piled up with skeletons. Countless skeletons piled up, forming islands of skeletons in this vast sea of blood. This world was simply like an Azura hell. Strange. This world gives me a very strange feeling. Li Yu raised his head to look at the blood-red world in front of him and slightly frowned. Sky Sovereign, there are no enemies lying in ambush ahead. Do you wish to enter above the heavens? Li Fanxian asked Li Yu. Go in. He was originally here to crusade against above the heavens, so how could he not go in when he reached the door? Li Yu nodded without hesitation. All troops, listen up. Full speed ahead. Leaf the sail released the mysterious yellow cauldron and hung high above its head. It turned its head and roared at the supreme palace behind it. Ong, the dragon's roar shook the heavens. The 9 true dragons pulled the 9 Dragons Rui carriage, breaking through the void and crashing into the bloody world in front of them. Boom! Boom! Dragon Son Basya took heavy steps and followed behind the 9 Dragons Rui carriage. He tore through the void and rushed into the blood-red world. Here, it was precisely after entering above the heavens that everyone could clearly feel that this world was filled with endless bloodthirstiness and ruthlessness. The world was blood-red. The cold wind howled, and the smell of blood filled the sky. Resentment. The resentment of countless souls. Between heaven and earth, there were countless unwilling roars from souls. This is a cursed world. Li Yu raised his eyes to look at the heavens above, and his expression became abnormally ugly. Before he stepped into above the heavens, Li Yu had imagined what above the heavens looked like. He had thought of many scenarios, but he had never thought of such a scene. Sky Sovereign, the demons above the heavens have all been killed? What's going on? Yi Fan raised his head to look at the world, his eyes filled with doubt. He had thought that once he stepped into the heavens above, he would face endless slaughter and fall into a difficult battle. However, the current situation was completely beyond his imagination. Above the heavens had become a land of death. The demons were all dead? No. Li Yu shook his head with a serious expression. The one who died was not an evil demon. The one who died was people. In Li Yu's eyes, faces appeared one after another amidst the resentment and wails that filled the world. That was a human. Moreover, it was someone Li Yu was very familiar with. Pangu, Niwa, Fushi, Shinong, Xinyuan, Suiren, Yu Chao, Yao, Shun, Yu, Xiaqi, Shangtang, King Wen of Zhou, King Wu of Zhou, Emperor Qin, Han Wu, Tang Zong, Song Zhu. Between heaven and earth, there were remnants of the resentment and curses of countless souls. That was the human race of the 9 provinces. Yin Huang bloodline. My Yin Huang bloodline. Has it been completely wiped out in this world? The anger in Li Yu's heart erupted like a volcano. They did it on purpose. They did it on purpose. They knew that I came from the Pearl of Origin, that great desolation, and that I was a descendant of Yin Huang. They actually killed all the Yin Huang people in this world. You all. Damn it. Li Yu tightly held onto the hilt of his sword, his eyes cold. Chapter 15:11. That broken mountain is our unyielding backbone. That heaven-shaking thunder is our unresigned roar. That shattered earth is our eternal sorrow. Our blood spilled over heaven and earth. Our corpses decayed into mud. Billions of years later, do you still remember Panga's creation of heaven and earth? Do you still remember Niwa weeping blood to mend the heavens? Do you still remember Suiren igniting the sacred flame and passing it on forever? Do you still remember Shinong tasting all kinds of herbs and being buried in a foreign land? Do you still remember your ancestor was called Yellow Flame? Vaguely, an ancient call resounded in Li Yu's heart. His bloodline resonated. His soul resonated. At this moment, 2 streams of tears rolled down Li Yu's cheeks. This is my ancestor. The hand holding the profound yellow sword trembled. Li Yu's heart felt as if it was being torn apart. Heaven and earth mourned. The endless resentment left in heaven and earth seemed to be shouting in Li Yu's heart. Revenge, revenge, revenge. The entire world was shouting. The entire world was shouting. At this moment, Li Yu understood. This world was where he was truly born. This was the true origin of his bloodline. When his soul came in contact with the origin of this world, Li Yu understood the truth. This is the world of immortals. This is also the world of the Pearl of Origin. I was first born here. Later on, I was brought to the world of the Chaos Pearl of Origin. No wonder the first world I transmigrated to after obtaining the system was shrouding heaven. So, I was originally born in the world of immortals. I was originally born in the high heavens. I'm a person of this world. This is my origin world. Li Yu took a deep breath and raised the profound yellow sword in his hand. Are you trying to provoke me? Then, you have already succeeded. The profound yellow sword exploded with endless radiance. A mighty sword aura soared into the sky, shaking the universe and the heavens. In the name of you, I summon the heavens. Come out, my soldiers. The mighty voice shook heaven and earth. Endless divine radiance illuminated the world. Boom, boom, rumble. A series of earth-shattering booms could be heard as a series of dazzling space-time gates opened behind Li Yu. Yu Huang de Tianzuan has a decree. Sit out. In the fiery domain, Xiao Yin and Xiao Feng, the 2 brothers, raised a huge flag and led a huge army into the gate of time and space. His Majesty has decreed that the army is to set out. In the sun god world, the monkey, the white dragon, the Qilin, and the nine-tailed fox also led an army into the gate of time and space. Immortal Region Army, set out. Immortal Emperor Chang'an, Immortal Emperor Li Feiyu, and Immortal Emperor Qingxia, Han Li, led the Immortal World Army into the gate of time. Demons, follow me to battle. Bao Hua stood in front of the space-time gate and roared. Dragon descendants of Dragon Island, His Majesty has summoned us. Let's go. Huge true dragons rushed out from the Dragon Island. Such scenes occurred in many different worlds. Boom, boom, boom. In the blood-colored world above the heavens, the sound of orderly and heavy footsteps could be heard from the many enormous gate of time and space. One by one, an army with vast auras and monstrous might stepped out from behind the gate of time and space. In just a short moment, an endless, innumerable army had gathered in this blood-colored world. Greetings, Yu Huang de Tianzuan. The countless troops that stepped out of the gate of time and space all knelt in front of Liu. A mighty roar shook the heavens and the earth. Is this the reinforcements that the sky sovereign mentioned? Truly, too terrifying. When Fan Xian and the others saw the scene in front of them, they were so shocked that their mouths were wide open. The number of troops that came out of the gate of time and space was endless, simply uncountable. What was even more terrifying was that the soldiers of this army all had the strength of an immortal king realm, and the generals were already immortal emperors. The leaders had suddenly surpassed the immortal emperor realm, and their strength was unfathomable. Was this the true power of an Empyrean? It was actually so powerful. Fan Xian and the others originally thought that they should be the main force of the expedition against the heavens, but now it seemed they couldn't even be considered guerrillas. However, these armies were so strange. Fan Xian saw that among these armies, there was an army made up entirely of beautiful girls. They called themselves the Burning Legion and the Demons. Was there such a beautiful demon? Fan Xian saw the strange Burning Legion, while Rong Qingzi looked at the great desolate army with a blank face. In the army formation with the banner of the great desolate army, a man in a Taoist robe had a ginseng fruit tree that reached the heavens above his head. Rong Qingzi looked at the ginseng fruit tree and couldn't come back to his senses for a long time. They, also called Yin Di and Huang Di, the Flame Emperor, Eternal Universe Emperor, and the Yellow Emperor, Void Emperor, looked up at the man who called himself the Flame Emperor and was holding the Yin Huang flag high in the air with 9 pairs of fiery wings on his back. Old Dan looked at Gu Changqing, who called himself the Heavenly Sovereign of Lingbao, Meng Hao, who called himself the Heavenly Sovereign of Primordial Beginning, and Taoist Chonghe, who called himself the Heavenly Sovereign of Tao and Virtue. The old Taoist was the Heavenly Sovereign of Tao and Virtue, right? The Heavenly Sovereign of Lingbao and the Heavenly Sovereign of Primordial Beginning had both died a long time ago. Where did you guys come from? Other than Yi Fan and the others who were in a daze, there were also many people in the Imperial Army who were in a daze. Julian raised the flag of the Burning Legion, and then he saw Sargeras, who called himself the Lord of the Burning Legion, and the group of beautiful female warriors behind him. That's not right? My Burning Legion can't be so cute. Julian could barely hold his weapon. He was already beginning to wonder how long the flag of the Burning Legion could be held. Your name is Julian? Hello, my name is Illidan. Sauron led the night elves and formed a formation in the air. He turned his head and saw Udian. He greeted the guy who called himself Udian and looked very similar to him. However, in Sauron's heart, he was shocked. Wasn't Illidan's former name? Where did this guy come from? Your name is Wukong? I am. Supreme Treasure. Supreme Treasure, Zhang Fugue, who came from the extermination world, stared at the Wukong from the sun god world with his mouth agape. Holy Light. You're also called Uther? Count Antares looked at the Holy Light Legion from the sorcerer world. He looked at the middle-aged man with a head full of blonde hair and a square face who was carrying a large hammer. The holy light around his body was about to dissipate. Your name is Niwa? What a coincidence. My name is also Niwa. Niwa, who came from the desolate world. Wave her hand in greeting to Niwa, who came from the sovereign of the world. Regarding this, His Majesty Emperor Yu's face was filled with helplessness. Fuck. The atmosphere has been completely ruined by you. This is a battlefield. Be serious. Chapter 15:12. Although there was an inexplicable situation, but everything was going smoothly. Liu had the armies from all over the heavens set up camp and continued to summon the heavenly Emperor Huang from the river of time. With a clang sound, Liu slashed out with his sword, cutting through space-time. Xiao Hao, little stone, come here and fight with me in the heavens. Cutting through space and time, an opening that looked like ripples of water appeared in the void. On the other side of the cave, Heavenly Emperor Huang was leading an army to break through the seal and charge into the crack in the void. Ancestral Master, Heavenly Emperor Huang, who was breaking through the chaotic flow of primal chaos, suddenly saw a large hole that looked like a water curtain appear in the void in front of him. Through the hole, Heavenly Emperor Huang saw the figure of Liu. Sky Sovereign. The Sky Sovereign is back. Behind Heavenly Emperor Huang, Willow Deity and the others saw Liu behind the cave entrance and immediately cheered. Let's go. Hurry up and meet up with the Sky Sovereign. Xiao Hao waved his hand and shouted. Together with Heavenly Emperor Huang, he led the army through the time cave and stepped into the future from the past. There are actually so many people. After passing through the time cave, Heavenly Emperor Huang and the others sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw the densely packed army in front of them. Greetings, Sky Sovereign. After calming himself down, Heavenly Emperor Huang and the others all bowed to Liu. Long time no see. Liu looked at the crowd and nodded with a smile. Everyone, please rise. Heavenly Emperor Huang, Heavenly Emperor Hao, and the emperors after the chaotic ancient era. The Sky Sovereign brought them back from the past. When Fan Xian and the others saw the arrival of Heavenly Emperor Huang, they were overjoyed. At this point, all the armies that Liu had gathered. Boom, boom, boom. The earth-shaking war drums had already been beaten, and a brilliant flag was fluttering high behind Liu. Everyone, follow me to wipe out the evil spirits. Sweep the heavens. Liu raised the heaven and earth sword high and pointed it forward. Kill! Battle cries shook the heavens. An endless and innumerable army swept out like a tide. They charged into the high heavens. I've already made my move. How will you guys deal with it? Liu stood on the 9 dragons' willing carriage, holding the profound yellow sword in his hand as he coldly stared at the distant horizon. There was a ferocious army gathered. That was the enemy above the heavens. A battle between two armies was not the key to determining victory or defeat. The real enemy had yet to reveal themselves. What Liu was truly concerned about was the celestial emperor who had yet to appear. Boom, boom, boom. In the distance, monstrous blood chi surged into the sky. A huge army rushed out of the broken land with heavy footsteps. His heavy footsteps caused the ground to tremble. In the blink of an eye, this huge army of murderous aura had already arrived before them. That is, Liu's face turned ashen when he saw this bloody army. His hand, that was holding the profound yellow sword, trembled. It was an army made up of countless stone men. Stone men. Everyone in this army was made up of stone men. They were huge stone men that were hundreds of feet tall and covered in dark red blood stains. Liu could feel endless resentment and curses from these stone men. It was as if countless souls were roaring, crying, cursing, and wailing. From these stone men, Liu could feel the throbbing of his bloodline. The blood on these stone men was the blood of the Yan Huang bloodline. Using the flesh and blood of the Yan Huang bloodline, using the souls of the Yan Huang bloodline to create these stone men, the fury in Liu's heart surged. These stone men are the power of the world of immortals. You use my people and my power to deal with me? In the power system of the world of immortals, stone men were the pinnacle of power. Now someone had seized this world. They had seized the power of the stone men. They had slaughtered all the living beings in the world of immortals to create these stone men. In these stone men, the blood of the Yin Huang bloodline was condensed. In these stone men, the souls of the Yin Huang bloodline were imprisoned. They usually used things to attack Liu. Then, they wanted Liu to personally kill the stone men, the bloodline of the Yin Huang bloodline, and the souls of the Yin Huang bloodline. How vicious their intentions were. My people, looking at the stone men army charging at him, Liu clenched his teeth and raised his sword. The bloodline of the Yin Huang bloodline cannot be blasphemed. The souls of the Yin Huang bloodline will never yield. You rest in peace. I will avenge you. Pass down the order. Wipe out the enemy. Liu's eyes were red. He raised a profound yellow sword and roared. Kill. The two huge armies fiercely collided. Blood splattered, flesh and blood flew. An earth-shattering battle. In the two armies, the weakest one was at the immortal king level. There were also countless half-immortal emperors and immortal emperors. Spell after spell covered the sky, and magic treasures after magic treasures whistled through the air. All kinds of mystiques, secret arts, and special techniques emerged one after another. The great battle caused the mountains to crumble and the earth to crack. It caused the sky to shake and the void to turn upside down. If it weren't for the fact that this world was the world of the Pearl of Origins, the battle would have blown up this world and this space-time a long time ago. Blazing mantra, heaven incinerating heavens. The flaming wings on Xiao Yan's back suddenly expanded, turning into a sea of fire that swept towards the stone men army. Virtuous draconic force, Vajra strength. Xiao Feng raised his demon's subduing pestle and swept it across. With the military blessing, Xiao Feng and Xiao Yan already had the power of the first step of chaos. Such a huge and unimaginable power caused the two of them to be excited and shocked. Joker, let's see who kills more. Monkey Wukong raised his purple gold coiling dragon staff and roared as he charged. Humph, let's fight. I'm not afraid of you. Joker, Zhang Fugue picked up a big stick and did a somersault. Bam! Evil spirit, take this. In the name of the Burning Legion, destroy the enemy in front of me. Eurydion unfurled his demon wings and charged into the stone golem army with raging flames all over his body. Hey, kid over there, since when did I allow you to use my name? The beautiful girl Sargeras, who used to be the dreadlord Ilya, raised a huge sword and cut a group of stone men into pieces. She turned her head and roared at Julian. The corner of Julian's mouth twitched. He blurted out, "Wheat bastard. Your Burning Legion is a joke to your enemies, isn't it? 3 pure ones with 1 breath." 3 doppelgangers rushed out of old Dan's head and charged at the stone men army. 3 pure ones too. Gu Changqing, Little Meng, and Taoist Chongha looked at each other when they heard old Dan's roar. Burn, little universe. We're the gold saints of Athena. The 12 golden saints roared as they charged towards the stone golem army. Gold saints? Our zodiac guardian is no weaker than you. 12 giant beasts of different shapes and sizes roared and charged. These strange interludes gave this battlefield, which was filled with boundless ferocity, a strange feeling. Chapter 15:13. Battle cries shook the heavens. This blood-colored world was ignited with the flames of war. The two huge armies were locked in a fierce battle. Violent tremors sounded as if they were going to shatter the entire world. The stone golem army was very strong, but Liu's Emperor Yu's army was even stronger. The prodigies from all over the universe, under the support of the military, erupted with incomparably tyrannical combat strength. They were invincible on the battlefield. The armies were fighting, but Liu's attention was not on the battle at all. Hiding in the shadows, you're finally willing to come out? Liu raised his head and looked at the void in the distance. His eyes turned cold. With a sway of his body, Liu stepped into the air and walked towards the void in the distance. In Liu's eyes, the eye of chaos pierced through the barrier of time and space and saw a figure. It was a middle-aged man wearing a yellow robe and a flat imperial crown, dressed like an emperor. "Eh, you can actually see me? You've grown to this level?" Shrouded in chaos, the yellow-robed man saw Liu walk over. A trace of surprise flashed in his eyes, but then he smiled and shook his head. "Unfortunately, as long as you're not at the third step of the chaos, you still can't escape today." The yellow-robed man flung his sleeves, and yellow light surged up. "Heaven is dead. Yellow sky shall rise." A mighty voice resounded through the clouds, and yellow light covered the world. The yellow-robed man's entire body shone with brilliant yellow light. His radiance was majestic, sacred, and glorious, like a supreme divine emperor who controlled the world and all living beings. "I am Yellow Sky." The yellow-robed man looked up at Liu with a lofty and noble look in his eyes. "Son of Chaos, you're finally here. I've waited for this day for many years." "Yellow Sky?" Liu glanced at this guy who called himself Yellow Sky and sneered. "You're only at the second step of the chaos, and you dare to put on an act in front of me? Indeed, I am indeed only at the second step of primal chaos." Yellow Sky seemed to agree with Liu's words. He smiled and nodded. "Your growth is amazing. To be able to step into the second step of primal chaos in such a short period of time and stand shoulder to shoulder with us, as expected of the son of primal chaos. But even though I knew you had such strength, I still dared to attack you. How could I not be prepared?" With that said, Yellow Sky reached out and grabbed. The entire above high heavens suddenly trembled as a strange light was pulled out from the void by Yellow Sky. It was a ball of blood-red light. It seemed to be a ball of blood. Vaguely, one could hear a shrill roar coming from the blood-red ball of light. "Do you know what this is?" A mocking sneer appeared on Yellow Sky's face as he held up the ball of light. "This is..." Seeing the blood-red ball of light in Huang Tian's hand, Liu felt his heart palpitate, as if all the blood in his body was surging wildly. His bloodline was resonating. His soul was resonating. This blood-colored radiance seemed to be closely related to Liu. "This is the source of your bloodline. Not only does it contain the blood and souls of all your direct ancestors, but also contains the true spirits of all the Yanhuang clansmen in the entire world of immortals." Yellow Sky held up the blood-red ball of light and looked at Liu with a cold smile. "This is my trump card against you. I'll let you feel it first." Raising his finger, Yellow Sky twisted at the blood-colored blob of light, pulling out a soul that was constantly roaring and struggling. "Do you see it clearly? This is... you call him Zhuanshu? Anyway, this is one of your ancestors." A sinister smile appeared on Yellow Sky's face. With a pinch of his finger, Zhuanshu's soul was crushed into pieces. Before his soul was annihilated, Zhuanshu let out a furious and unwilling roar. Even though his soul was destroyed, that shrill roar seemed to echo between heaven and earth. Ugh! The moment Zhuanshu's soul was destroyed, Liu suddenly felt a sharp pain in his heart. It was as if his heart was being torn apart. How is this possible? Even if this was Zhuanshu, even if this was one of the ancestors of the Yanhuang lineage, even if this was a curse attack that originated from his bloodline and soul, Liu is already a chaotic body. Liu's body had already turned into a chaotic state long ago. How could a curse attack that originated from his bloodline still work on the chaotic body? "You're very strange, very surprised." Yellow Sky sneered. "Your understanding of the chaotic body is still far too shallow. As long as you haven't reached the third step of the chaotic body, as long as your soul hasn't become chaotic, you won't be able to sever the karma of your bloodline. As long as there's karma, it's our greatest weakness." Holding the blood-red ball of light in his hand, Yellow Sky slowly tightened his grip. "Do you see this? You can't fight back at all before me. As long as I crush this ball of light, I'll be able to heavily injure you in an instant. You definitely aren't saying all this just to show off. Tell me, what's your goal?" Villains died from talking too much. Li Yu didn't think that Yellow Sky would make such a low-level mistake. If the blood-red ball of light was to attack Li Yu, why didn't he just crush it and attack Li Yu through the karma of his bloodline? Threatening and crushing Zhuanshu's soul as a demonstration, there had to be a purpose behind it. As expected of a smart person, Yellow Sky smiled and nodded. Of course I have a goal. My goal is very simple. It's for the land of origin. The ruler is dead. The myriad worlds have lost their origin. Everyone wants to reach the third step of the chaotic body and become the new ruler. I'm naturally no exception. The land of origin, Li Yu frowned. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. I don't even know where the land of origin is. I also don't know how to enter the land of origin. You don't need to know. You're just the key. Yellow Sky pointed at the world and smiled. This is the world of immortals. This is the pearl of origin and also the place where you were born. Here, as long as you burn all your cultivation, you can open the land of origin. You think I'll listen to you? Li Yu sneered and raised the profound yellow sword in his hand. Even if you use the curse of your bloodline to attack me, how can I just sit there and wait for death? Then it's not up to you. Yellow Sky sneered and tightened his grip on the blood-red ball of light. Pah! The blood-red ball of light exploded. Boom! Li Yu's mind exploded. Endless blood-red light rushed out of Li Yu's mind. Within this blood-red light, countless figures appeared. Shuirenshi, Yukashi, Fushi, Shinnong, Xianyuan, Yao, Shanyu. In that instant, the souls of everyone in the realm of longevity from the Yellow Flame tribe rushed into Li Yu's mind. Kill! 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 These souls had lost their consciousness long ago. All that was left was endless hatred. Billions of souls covered the sky and earth. They howled and tore at Li Yu's soul. Chapter 15:14. Huang Tian, you are too vicious. Li Yu felt a sharp pain in his heart when he saw the frenzied souls of the flaming yellow tribe. These are my ancestors. These are my people. The sacred and noble flaming yellow tribe is being bullied to this extent. Anger could not stop these frenzied souls. They had lost their minds and could no longer recognize Li Yu. They did not treat Li Yu as one of their own, but as a target to vent their resentment. Tear, bite, frenzy howls. Li Yu's sea of consciousness was in a complete mess. Have you tasted my power? Huang Tian sneered. I have slaughtered all the living beings in the world of immortals. I have refined the bloodline and true spirit of the flaming yellow tribe into a bloodline curse. As long as you do not sever the bloodline karma, you will not be able to escape this curse. Raising a golden mace in his hand, Huang Tian swung the golden mace and smashed it down at Li Yu. Clang! Emperor Yu's bell instantly rushed out and firmly protected Li Yu's head. The golden mace smashed heavily on the Emperor Yu bell, causing an earth-shattering tremor. Space-time collapsed, and the laws were annihilated. The surrounding void was in chaos. If not for the fact that this was the world within the Pearl of Origin, this attack alone would have shattered the endless space-time and destroyed countless planes. Puffed. Li Yu spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying for hundreds of millions of miles, crashing into the endless void of the world of immortals. Affected by the bloodline curse, Li Yu's sea of consciousness was in a mess. He could not spare any attention to deal with Huang Tian's attack and could only let the magic treasure protect him. Unfortunately, although the Emperor Yu Bell was a chaos treasure, it could not withstand the attack from the second step of chaos. Your fate is sealed. Huang Tian took a step forward and chased into the void, arriving in front of Li Yu and looking at Li Yu with a cold smile. I've spent so much effort and waited for so many years. Wasn't it all for today? The countless vengeful spirits in the bloodline curse will soon take control of your body. You can only obediently burn your cultivation and open the land of origins for me. Huang Tian laughed loudly with the golden mace in hand. At this moment, Li Yu's gaze had already become lifeless. The expression on his face was also constantly distorted, revealing an endless amount of resentment. Clearly, the vengeful spirits had taken over his body. These resentful spirits were connected by bloodline and karma. They could not be severed or eliminated. Even with Li Yu's current divine soul cultivation, he could not block this attack that targeted his weakness. Li De, who had cheated all the worlds in the universe, seemed to have taken a big tumble here. He was cheated so miserably. Really? Vengeful spirits. Burn the body. Burn the origin. Burn the soul. Burn away everything about the son of chaos, and thus open the door of origins. Seeing that the vengeful spirit possession had succeeded, Huang Tian's eyes lit up as he screamed hysterically. Countless years of planning, countless years of waiting, countless years of deployment. Today, he had finally succeeded. I, Huang Tian, will step into the origin ground. I will ascend to the third step of the chaos realm and become the sole ruler of the universe. Excitement surged in Huang Tian's heart, and his entire body trembled. You think too much. Li Yu's glazed eyes glinted coldly. With a clang, a beam of sword light soared into the sky. The shrill whistle of the sword shook the void. A beam of chaotic sword energy tore through the sky, slicing through space-time and annihilating the laws of nature. It slashed down viciously at the excited Huang Tian. In the midst of his excitement, Li Yu suddenly slashed at his head. Caught off guard, Huang Tian only managed to avoid his head. The sword slashed from his left shoulder to his right rib. Huang Tian's entire body was cut in two. This is impossible. How could you possibly escape the bloodline curse? In the end, he was in existence at the second step of the chaos realm. He wouldn't be killed so easily. Huang Tian screamed as the two halves of his body turned into chaotic energy. The formless chaos merged once again. Huang Tian's complete body appeared once more. Apart from his pale face, he didn't seem to have suffered any injuries. Your relationship with the heavenly emperor of Taixien must be very bad. Otherwise, he would have told you. He suffered a great loss because of me. Li Yu sneered. The Emperor Yu bell floating above his head rushed up, and the mighty sound of the bell rippled out. The sound of chaos swept out in all directions. It annihilated all matter and energy. It destroyed all laws and order. The mighty sound wave slammed into Huang Tian's body. With a loud bang, Huang Tian, who had just reformed his body, suffered another blow from Li Yu. His body was blasted apart again, turning into a ball of chaos. Using the bloodline curse? Using a vengeful spirit to take over my body? How can you think of that? Back then, even Heavenly Emperor himself came to take over my body. I killed one of his avatars. What a vengeful spirit. I was just teasing you just now. It was just a show. He was used to tricking people. That was all. After blasting Huang Tian's body apart, Li Yu waved his hand. The heavenly worthy seal hanging from his waist flew out and turned into a huge seal. Don't hit someone first. You've already lost the initiative after taking a blow from me. Now, you can only be beaten up by me. With a cold smile, Shao Chun waved his hand, and the boundless heavenly sovereign seal smashed down on the primal chaos, Qi, formed by the yellow sky. Boom! Time and space collapsed. Tao laws were annihilated. Matter was destroyed. Only chaos could annihilate chaos. The chaotic energy formed by Huang Tian took another heavy blow from Li Yu. The chaos collided and annihilated each other. With this blow, half of the chaotic energy formed by Huang Tian was annihilated. Does it feel good to be a punching bag? The Emperor Yu bell whistled and rushed up. The mighty sound of the bell slammed into the chaotic energy and annihilated another half of it. How dare you kill my people? The hornet's sword slashed through the air. How dare you destroy my world of immortals? The heavenly worthy seal smashed down. How dare you use the Yanhuang bloodline to plot against me? The Emperor Yu bell slammed out. Who the hell gave you the guts? Endless chaotic energy gathered in his palm. Li Yu roared and slammed his palm down. Sovereign seal, a vast and boundless power erupted from the palm print. Li Yu's furious attack smashed heavily against the mass of primal chaos. After a series of attacks, the chaotic energy formed by Huang Tian was reduced to a fist-sized ball. My ancestors, my people, Liu raised his head and raised the hornet sword. Do you see this? I have avenged you. The sword slashed down. The shrill sound of the sword shook heaven and earth. At this moment, the whole world of immortals was resonating. The whole world was shouting. The endless resentment between heaven and earth turned into a roar. Revenge! 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 Boom! The last cloud of primal chaos chi in yellow sky was slashed into nothingness by the sword. Chapter 15:15. Rumble. The moment yellow sky fell, the entire universe began to tremble. The heavens of the third realm trembled, and heaven and earth grieved. Yellow sky has died? A celestial emperor who'd lived for countless years and ruled over endless territories, a peak existence at the second step of the chaos, had suddenly died? This caused the faces of countless people in the universe to turn pale with fright. From ancient times until now, the only existences at the level of heavenly emperor were the Dallas heavens and suffered the heavenly punishment. Only then did the heavenly emperor fall. But now, yellow sky had died as well. Your Majesty, what did yellow sky do wrong? Why are you so angry? The celestial emperors stood up in shock and sent messages to the Your Majesty. It wasn't me. In the blink of an eye, the Your Majesty's reply was sent to the celestial emperors. It wasn't Your Majesty? The celestial emperors were flabbergasted when they received this reply. Apart from the goddess who wielded the root of primal chaos, who else in the universe could kill Huang Tian? Who else could kill a being at the second step of the chaos? Could it be him? Could it be the son of chaos? That's impossible, right? Apart from the Your Majesty, the only other suspect was the son of chaos. However, even if the son of chaos had ascended to the second step of the chaos, it was simply impossible for him to kill a celestial emperor and cause a being at the second step of the chaos to completely die. Damn it! Damn it! It must be him. It must be him. The celestial emperor of Taishuan's face was ashen. Once upon a time, the celestial emperor of Taishan had suffered at the hands of Liu. He'd failed to possess Liu, and the proof of chaos, the system, had killed one of his avatars. Judging from the current situation, Yellow Sky had probably died at the hands of the proof of chaos as well. Oomph. Even if you kill Yellow Sky, you won't be able to escape from me. Back then, I even found a trump card to deal with you. Son of Chaos, you can only fall into my hands. Black Sky glanced at the ice coffin behind him and sneered savagely. I am the final victor. Only I can become the true ruler. The cold air of the ice coffin churned, and the white fog swayed with the wind. Through the hazy, icy mist, one could vaguely see a figure frozen in the ice coffin. That person's appearance was actually exactly the same as Liu's. Liu didn't know that Heavenly Emperor Taishian was plotting against him again. At this moment, Liu's attention was on the system. Just a moment ago, when Liu's sword had destroyed the last ball of chaos formed by Yellow Sky, the system in his mind had suddenly released a beam of light without any orders from Liu. With a sweep of the light, a speck of chaotic chi that was as fine as a speck of dust was picked up from the void. Even Liu's spiritual sense could not detect it. Ah, proof of chaos. Liu heard Huang Tian's blood-curdling scream. This guy is not completely dead yet. Liu pursed his lips, not too surprised by this. After all, Yellow Sky was a being at the second step of chaos. If it was so easy to kill, who knew how many times he would have died? But why did the system suddenly work on its own? Liu frowned and mentally connected to the system. System, what was that just now? Why did you automatically absorb Yellow Sky's remaining chaotic chi without my orders? Discovered System Ultimate Clearance Key Item. Ultimate Clearance Mission activated. Ultimate Clearance Mission activated. Ultimate Mission. As a son of chaos, becoming the ruler of chaos is your innate mission. Mission requirements. Collect and control 9 pearls of origin. Open the land of origin. Step into the third step of chaos. Become the ruler of chaos and wield control over all realms. The system's cold voice rang out in Li Yu's mind. Mission? Li Yu was stunned for a moment, and it took him a while to come to his senses. There was a mission again? How many years had it been since he last heard the word mission? Apart from when he first started, Li Yu had also done some missions. After that, for a long time, Li Yu had not seen any missions issued by the system. If you don't give me a mission, I'll almost forget that there's still a system authorization that I haven't completed. Li Yu smiled and shook his head. The ultimate clearance key item actually requires me to kill a celestial emperor and collect his remnant soul. Even the requirements for starting the mission are so high, it probably won't be easy to complete it. Collect 9 pearls of origin. Including the one in the world of immortals, I already have 3. I'm still missing 6. Then, open the land of origin, step into the 3rd step of chaos, and become a ruler. As he pondered over this mission introduction, Li Yu suddenly realized a problem. Open the land of origin, and then step into the 3rd step of chaos? In other words, I have to open the land of origin first to be able to step into the 3rd step of chaos? Li Yu opened his mouth and almost blurted out, "Wheat bastard. You should have said so earlier. I've gone to so many places and thought of so many ways to reach the 3rd step of chaos. After working so hard for so long, you're telling me that it's all a waste of effort? Come out. I promise I won't beat you to death." Although he was depressed, he still had to do what he had to do. Li Yu shook his head helplessly and could only accept reality. No wonder those celestial emperors were stuck at the 3rd step of chaos for countless years, wholeheartedly looking for me, the son of chaos, wholeheartedly plotting how to open the land of origin. So, to reach the 3rd step of chaos, you can't leave the land of origin. No wonder they had a fight in the chaos world, so they were fighting for the pearls of origin. You need 9 pearls of origin to open the land of origin. Just now, yellow sky said to burn everything and open the land of origin in the world of immortals. The system's notification naturally wouldn't be wrong. Then, the one who made a mistake could only be yellow sky. Li Yu blinked his eyes and felt extreme sympathy for yellow sky. You've definitely been King tricked. I don't know where you got this method from, but this method is definitely wrong. You've been tricked miserably. This character of Yellow Sky, it seemed to be completely giving experience. It seemed to have been designed by someone to send him in front of Li Yu at the right time, giving him a head, giving him experience, and giving him the opportunity to open the ultimate clearance mission. Who's the mastermind behind all this? Empress? Or other celestial emperors? Is this really for my own good? Stepping into the 3rd step of chaos and becoming the one and only master of chaos in all the worlds? Who would want to miss this opportunity? That Empress, was it really kind? Chapter 15:16. This is my world. Li Yu raised his eyes to look at this world that was filled with endless blood. The earth was broken, the rivers dried up, the mountains collapsed, and the entire world was devoid of life. There was only a ruin and a bloody scene. I'm back. Li Yu opened his arms, and a mighty divine radiance soared into the sky. Boom! The divine radiance was vast and mighty, engulfing the heavens and the earth. At this moment, the entire longevity realm began to shake. It was as if they were cheering, as if they were shouting. The entire world was responding to Li Yu's call, as if they were reuniting after their parting. In the name of you, come back. Everything that has passed away. An enormous and boundless power swept out, reversing time and distorting the laws. Everything returned to its original state, and everything returned to its original state. In an instant, a world full of birds and flowers once again appeared in front of everyone. There was no more blood in the sky, no more endless resentment. There was only a verdant land, a mighty river, and laughing people. The might of an Empyrean. With a wave of his hand, the world changed. When the Imperial army from all over the heavens saw Li Yu use the great ability, changing the heavens and earth, they all began to cheer. This battle was won. Not only was this battle a great victory, Even the cultivators of the heavens who had sacrificed themselves on the battlefield had all been resurrected by this vast and boundless power. Victory! 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 The army of the heavens raised their weapons and shouted loudly. In this great battle, all the soldiers have worked hard and contributed greatly. All the armies have been rewarded. For the time being, all the troops will lead their troops back to their old places. At the end of a great battle, the legions from the 10,000 worlds naturally had to be sent back to their respective worlds. Liu waved his hand and opened a huge gate of time and space. We accept the decree. The various commanders led the armies of the various worlds back to their respective worlds through the gate of time and space. Congratulations to the Empyrean for pacifying the heavens and creating such a shocking undertaking. Li Fan-Xian and Heavenly Emperor Huang led the crowd to bow and congratulate Liu. This is the result of everyone's hard work. Liu smiled modestly and said, "This time, the heavens has been pacified. From now on, there will be no more evil invasion. But you can't relax. After you go down, you still need to cultivate strictly and not slack off." Only then did he get rid of Huang Tian. There were still 7 celestial emperors, and even the most powerful empress. There would probably be many more battles in the future. "As you command, Sky Sovereign." Everyone bowed and accepted the order. In this battle, whether it was Yi Fan and the others or Heavenly Emperor Huang and the others, they all felt that their horizons had been broadened. Immortal Emperor is not the end of cultivation. We used to be frogs in a well. With this understanding, all the chosen ones present had a clear goal. Naturally, they would work hard to surpass and move forward. "You guys go back first. I still have some things to deal with." With a wave of his hand, he opened a space-time gate, sending Yi Fan and the others back to the shrouded heaven world. Heavenly Emperor Huang and his group did not request to return to the ancient chaos. After the past and the future converged, Heavenly Emperor Huang and the others also felt that this era was pretty good and did not plan to return to the past. Everyone had left. Liu only left a group of heavenly soldiers from the South Parting Island Immortal Court, as well as Kai, Yi, and the others. "Congratulations to your majesty on your great victory." When Liu returned to the 9 Dragons Rui carriage, Kai, Yi, and the others came to congratulate him with faces full of joy. "It's just a small victory." Liu smiled and shook his head, waving his hand. Let's go. Let's go home." "Yes, sir." The 9 Dragons Rui carriage soared into the sky, breaking through the void and returning to the Yu Emperor Heaven. Dragon Son Basya carried the Supreme Palace and landed back on the South Parting Island's Undying Mountain. The girls returned to the Immortal Mansion, but Liu sat alone in the Great Hall of the Supreme Palace. However, his heart was not calm. Just now, after I took control of the world of longevity, I saw the past of the world of longevity. I also saw myself in the past. Liu thought back to the scene he'd seen. Many years ago in the world of longevity, an infant was born. It was an infant favored by heaven and earth, favored by fate. However, not long after the infant was born, an enormous azure dragon suddenly appeared in this world. "Son of Chaos, I've finally found you." When the enormous azure dragon saw the infant, it laughed wildly. The myriad worlds don't need a son of chaos. What they need is a master of chaos. Once I devour you and seize your origin, I will become the new master of chaos. The azure dragon stretched out its enormous claws and viciously clawed at the infant. "Vile dragon, you dare act so violently?" The infant's tribesmen roared furiously and charged at the azure dragon. However, the difference in strength was too great. Even though they attacked furiously, they couldn't stop the azure dragon from wreaking havoc. Corpses littered the plains. Rivers of blood flowed. The Tsang dragon easily slaughtered the tribe and took away the baby. "Son of Chaos, this is your fate. Use everything you have to fulfill me." The azure dragon clenched its claws and blood splattered. The infant was instantly crushed by the azure dragon. Why isn't it here? Why isn't there the origin of chaos? Isn't he the son of chaos? Why isn't there the origin of chaos? Why? The azure dragon didn't find what it wanted. It furiously roared and vented its anger. The enormous power wreaked havoc and brought a huge disaster to this world. Heavens, you dare to disobey my orders? You dare to attack the son of chaos? You're courting death. Just as the azure dragon was recklessly venting its anger, a furious roar suddenly echoed in the sky. Empress? The azure dragon was so frightened that it trembled. It turned and fled, instantly escaping from the world of longevity. Damn it! The son of chaos was killed by him. A ray of light flashed. An incomparably noble woman wearing a phoenix coronet appeared in the world where the azure dragon was wreaking havoc. Azure dragon, you idiot! The son of chaos hasn't matured yet. So where did the origin of chaos come from? The woman with the phoenix coronet snorted heavily. She reached out and gathered the infant's flesh that the azure dragon had crushed. Fortunately, the bloodline is still there. As long as it's reborn, it can still give birth to a son of chaos. After gathering the flesh, the woman with the phoenix coronet disappeared in a flash. This was the only past that Li Yu saw in the world of longevity. In other words, when I was in the world of longevity, I was already killed by the great emperor of firmament. The infant that was crushed must be Li Yu's first life. No wonder Li Yu didn't go there. The past life that was destroyed by the chaos did not have any past at all. That woman with the phoenix coronet must be the empress. In other words, she was the one who sent my remaining flesh to the primitive world and let me be reborn on the earth there. Zhou Qingxia, Granny Zhou, hello. The expression in Li Yu's eyes was very complicated. That empress was actually the Granny Zhou Qingxia, who had raised him in an orphanage on the earth of the primitive world. I was actually raised by that empress. Chapter 15:17. Is this the reason why Chang Tian was smashed to death by Her Majesty? This was because the heavens had disobeyed orders and attacked the infant son of chaos, killing him directly. This caused the empress to be enraged and smash the firmament to death. Judging from this action, Her Majesty is protecting the son of chaos. But is her goal really just to protect him? The son of chaos was related to the opening of the land of origins. Before the son of chaos could open the land of origins, Her Majesty would not allow any accidents to happen. This was the main reason why she protected the son of chaos and did not allow others to interfere, right? There's no love or hatred for no reason in this world. I'm afraid I have to pay more attention to Her Majesty's kindness. Recalling how Granny Zhou had always taken care of him in the orphanage on Earth, Li Yu's expression was a little complicated. No wonder when I returned to the orphanage on Earth, Uncle Lu, the gatekeeper, said that there had never been a person called Granny Zhou. With the methods of the consort, how could the gatekeeper, Uncle Lu, resist her? Unless Her Majesty was willing to let him remember, how could an ordinary mortal remember a chaos-level existence? I'm actually a ball of flesh and blood of the first son of chaos. No wonder I was such a weakling in the beginning despite being the son of chaos. So it's because I was born with a deficiency. Li Yu had already figured out the ins and outs. Some of the previous doubts had now been answered. However, the future was still very difficult. 9 pearls of origin can open the land of origins. This setting looks so outdated. 7 Dragon Balls, or something is really too old-fashioned. Thinking of the mission he had, Li Yu couldn't help but complain. Now, he already had 3 pearls of origins in his possession. One was Chang Tian, one was Primordial World, and one was the Realm of Immortals. To gather all 7 Dragon Balls. Oh, 6 pearls of origin were still missing. But where can I find the pearl of origin? With Li Yu's current level, he could see through the void with a single glance. However, he was unable to find the existence of the pearl of origin. System, can you give me a mission hint? Shouldn't there be a hint for a mission item? If it's purely based on luck, how long would it take? Unable to find other pearls of origins, Li Yu could only place his hopes on the system. Mission hint. The Pearl of Origin is born from the root of chaos and the origin of chaos. In order to find the Pearl of Origins, we need to start from these two. The system prompt came immediately. Roots of chaos? Origin of chaos? Liu blinked his eyes, feeling a little confused. I know about the origin of primal chaos. When I was searching for a primordial violet chi in the primordial world, I encountered this thing. Back then, Liu had found the so-called primordial violet chi in the Hongyun's relics. At that time, the system had absorbed the primordial violet chi and told him that the primordial violet chi was called the origin of chaos. Although it was only a strand of the origin of chaos, it could be considered as possessing the origin of chaos. But what is this origin of chaos? Liu furrowed his brows tightly. The system wouldn't give a hint for no reason. So, I must have seen the origin of chaos before. I've seen it before. Could it be? Liu's eyes lit up. He suddenly stood up and took a step forward, instantly appearing in the void outside the Emperor Heaven. In the void, a blue wall with sharp spikes stood tall, seemingly cutting off the world and space-time. All this time, I still haven't understood what the spikes on the blue wall are. Now, it seems that this thing is the origin of chaos. Taking a step forward, Liu instantly appeared next to the blue wall. Reaching out to touch the blue wall, Liu looked up and saw the huge spike. His expression was a bit strange. The key item of the mission has always been in front of me, as if afraid that I wouldn't see it. If it wasn't deliberately placed here, I wouldn't believe it even if I was beaten to death. From a weakling to today, step by step, he had walked to stand above the myriad of worlds. Big Bossly had long since scammed the heavens. The scene in front of him was very familiar to Liu. It was completely a routine that Liu had long since gotten tired of playing. Giving opportunities, arranging fortuitous encounters, these are all things I've been playing around with. I like to see who's playing me like this. There was a mission that delivered the yellow sky to him, and even the origin of chaos and the origin of chaos were delivered to him one by one. This routine was completely the basic routine of a fortuitous encounter. Who could be the mastermind behind this? Was everything arranged by the already dead Sovereign of Chaos? Or was it a chain of missions set up by the goddess? Liu's lips curled into a cold smile. Then, I'll play this game with you guys. When it comes to scamming people, I'm the most professional. When playing this game, who is Big Bossly afraid of? System, take out the origin of chaos. The primordial purple vapor that Hongyun left behind back then had already been absorbed by the system. At this moment, if he wanted to use that trace of origin of chaos, he could only ask the system for it. Buzz, in his mind, the system trembled slightly. A trace of mysterious, aloof, and indescribable aura seeped out from the system's resource vault. Origin is one. Reaching out with his hand, he pulled out that trace of origin of chaos. With a wave of his hand, Liu sent that trace of origin of chaos into the green wall in front of him. Origin sensing, search for the Pearl of Origin. Erupting with a burst of chaotic energy, Liu slammed his palm on the green wall in front of him. Boom! A ray of light suddenly burst out from the green wall. The brilliant light rushed up with a bang, turning into a stream of light that rushed towards Liu's forehead. With such an unknown origin, I don't dare to let you enter my soul's sea of consciousness. Reaching out with his hand, chaotic energy surged. Liu grabbed the ray of light that rushed out from the green wall. System, keep it in the resource vault. For safety's sake, it would be safer to keep it in the resource vault. With a sweep of an invisible wave, this ray of light was kept in the system's resource vault. Buzz, a ray of clear light flashed in the resource vault. Dots of light appeared in the light. Among them, 3 dots of light had already turned white, and 6 dots of light were flickering with red light. Is this the location of the Pearl of Origin? Even the color markings are made. It really feels like a game. Liu pursed his lips. The mission has been unlocked, and the location of the mission item has also been confirmed. The next routine is to fight the boss and farm the mission item. Chapter 1518. This day has finally arrived. In an indescribable void, there was a pure white palace. It seemed as if it was carved out of white jade. A woman with a phoenix coronet sat upright on a gorgeous throne. In front of the woman, a wisp of cyan radiance slightly trembled. Li Yu's figure appeared in the radiance. Li Yu had taken out the primal chaos source and inserted it into the green wall to search for the pearl of origin. You little rascal. I have placed the root of primal chaos in front of you for so long, but you only thought of using it now. You are truly an idiot. The woman with the phoenix coronet shook her head with a smile. I have waited for so long. It has been very tiring. Don't you think so, elder sister? The woman stretched out her hand and grabbed a green vine that was constantly twisting from the side of the throne's armrest. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The green vine was unceasingly twisting. It seemed as if it was a green snake that had been caught in someone's hand. A strange shriek was faintly transmitted from the green vine. Elder sister, are you still angry? Do you want to stop me? The woman with the phoenix coronet waved her hand and flung the green vine away. You should know that what I am doing is the most correct thing. Moreover, you can no longer stop me. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Waves of whistling sounds were heard as the green vines whistled through the air. They transformed into long green whips and fiercely lashed towards the woman with the phoenix coronet. Don't make trouble, elder sister. The woman with the phoenix coronet smiled and waved her hand. A green light rushed out and transformed into a huge stick that was covered with sharp thorns. It was condensed from green light. Bang! Endless green splendor burst out from the huge stick's shadow. An enormous and boundless pressure firmly pressed the green vines to the ground. Elder sister, you only need to watch carefully. I will prove to you that I am correct. The green splendor rolled up, and the pure white palace became silent. The deathly still palace floated in the endless void. It was just like the endless years of the past. The changes that had occurred here couldn't be detected by outsiders. Li Yu obtained the location of the Pearl of Origins from the Azure Wall and turned to leave. The 6 origin pearls are located in 6 different locations. It even showed the red light out of goodwill. Is it reminding me that the 6 origin pearls are all enemies? A smile appeared on Li Yu's face. That's an interesting way to play. I'll play this game with you. Li Yu already had an idea of who the so-called enemy was. Those celestial emperors were all scheming to become the master of primal chaos. After all these years, he had racked his brains and racked his brains. He must have found the other pearls of origins. The son of chaos couldn't open the land of origin without the pearl of origin. With the pearl of origins in his hands, no matter what, he was already in a stable position. Obviously, these heavenly emperors have already made their preparations and are waiting for me to deliver myself to them. Li Yu now possessed the qualifications to open the land of origin. Clearly, the goddess's protection period for him had ended. The goddess definitely didn't rely on martial strength to make the heavenly emperors obey her orders. Moreover, it was impossible for the green stick at the 3rd step of chaos to be unrestricted. It was impossible for him to use it as he pleased. To make the heavenly emperors obey, there had to be mutual interests other than deterrence. Then what was the mutual interest? Li Yu smiled. Opening the land of origin was the common interest of the goddess and the heavenly emperors. In other words, it's fine as long as the land of origin can be opened. As for whether it's opened by the son of chaos or not, that's irrelevant. The heavenly emperor of Taishuan's possession and the great emperor of Yellow Heaven's bloodline curse were both targeted at Li Yu for this reason. Those 6 pearls of origins must have fallen into the hands of the other heavenly emperors. I'm going to seize the pearls of origins. The heavenly emperors who have been waiting for countless years will definitely give me a grand welcome. Big Boss Li's style of doing things had never been Big Boss Li's style. Conning people was Li Yu's specialty. Then, let's give out some opportunities first. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you'll never be defeated. According to Li Yu's routine, it was naturally to give out opportunities and adventures first. I've now become the main target of the Heavenly Emperor's attention. It'll be very difficult to sneak into their pearls of origins. Li Yu smiled. Even if I don't show up myself, I can still achieve my goal. I just need to throw a few systems into the pearls of origins worlds. Systems were the proof of primal chaos, the power of the third step of primal chaos. Even the heavenly emperors couldn't detect the existence of systems. This point had already been proven in the Eldritch world. Then let's give out opportunities first. Following the coordinates of the pearls of origins obtained from the green wall, Li Yu created 6 systems. Send these systems into the pearls of origins through the coordinates of the pearls of origins. If you don't need them, you can find a host. Whoever's lucky enough to encounter them will have the opportunity. It was inconvenient for Li Yu to show himself, so he couldn't choose a host. He could only use the system's power to directly throw the systems that Li Yu had created into the 6 pearls of origins. Aren't there many people who have been speculating about how they got their gold fingers after obtaining them? How simple is it? I just casually threw them out. All that was left was to wait. Li Yu returned to the divine abode and lay under the Bodhi tree in the garden of the divine abode. Your Majesty, have a fruit, a green vine wrapped around a heavenly immortal fruit, and handed it to Li Yu. Tung Qing, why haven't you been willing to transform? Reaching out to take the heavenly immortal fruit, Li Yu looked at Tung Qing, who had been unwilling to transform and was still in the form of a vine. He was speechless. The divine vase's weapon spirit had merged with the mysterious divine vine and turned into this strange Tung Qing. In terms of cultivation, even Pan, she was no match for Tung Qing. Unfortunately, this guy seemed to be addicted to being a vine. All these years, he had been unwilling to transform. Tung Qing chuckled and retracted his vine. Ding! Discovered subsystem activation. Connecting. At this moment, a system notification suddenly rang in Li Yu's mind. The system is online? One of the systems that I just threw out has already found host. Li Yu quickly followed the system's connection and looked at the newly activated system. This is an elevator? Through the system's connection, Li Yu saw the world of the pearls of origins. It's also Earth? The world of this pearls of origins is also Earth. Could it be that every pearls of origins is an Earth world? The Eldritch world had Earth, the realm of immortals had Earth, and the destroyed pearls of origins in heaven also had Earth. Could it be that every pearls of origins was an Earth world? This was a problem. However, Li Yu's attention was not on this. Instead, he looked at the system host this time. An elevator? An elevator merged with my system? An elevator became a system host? What the F***CK is going on? Li Yu was shocked. The system I created has the ability to travel between planes. Wouldn't this elevator become a planar elevator after fusing with the planar travel system? This strange situation left Li Yu dumbfounded. Chapter 1519. Dongfang, it's already so late. Are you still going out? Late at night, in the old dormitory building of Jiayin Building, a young man with a dejected face, wearing slippers and messy hair, staggered out of the dilapidated elevator. He bumped into a neighbor who was setting up a supper stall nearby. I'm a little hungry. I'm going out to eat something. The young man called Dongfang smiled and greeted him. He turned around and walked out of the dormitory building. He passed through a small alley and came to the food street. He ordered a few bottles of beer, a lobster, and a rice noodle. Dongfang began to eat absent-mindedly. Slightly tipsy, Dongfang filled his stomach. After paying the bill, he left the food street and returned to the dormitory building. Dongfang walked into the elevator with blurred eyes. He reached out and pressed the elevator button. Suddenly, he found that the button he pressed at the top suddenly showed 19th floor. This dormitory building only had 18 floors, but the elevator button actually showed 19th floor. 19th floor. Dongfang rubbed his eyes and was stunned. What's going on? The elevator door slowly opened. A beautiful world with clear hills and clear water appeared in front of Dongfang's eyes. What the hell? Did I drink too much? Dongfang stepped out of the elevator door with a face full of shock and uncertainty. He walked into this inexplicable world. The story began. Interesting. Interesting. So this is the situation? Through the system connection, Liu saw this scene in its entirety. He already had some guesses about this world of the Pearl of Origin. This world also has countless planes and is also connected to thousands of worlds. This makes sense. From what Liu grasped, those celestial emperors also controlled countless worlds and planes. This world of Earth in front of him was connected to the heavens. These heavens must be the worlds controlled by this celestial emperor. Let me see, which worlds does this celestial emperor control? Through the system connection, Liu connected to this plane elevator and saw the heavens connected to the plane elevator. Wuxia novel world, movie world, anime world. When Liu saw planes such as Dragon Ball, Superman, Naruto, and so on, he had already understood. There are countless celestial worlds in the primal chaos void. The sources of these worlds were almost all movies, novels, and animations from Earth. Different heavenly emperors control different realms. Retracting his gaze, Liu revealed a smile on his face. If we want to obtain this origin pearl, we can't just kill our way to their doorstep. Liu already had an idea when he thought of the plane worlds connected to the plane elevator. If the Devata realm under your control suddenly falls into chaos, you'll be in charge of the Devata realm. You, the heavenly emperor, definitely can't sit still, right? You must have something to do with the Devata realms, right? As long as the heavenly emperor was distracted by his Devata realms, Liu would be able to seize the Pearl of Origin. In that case, I'll send out more fortuitous encounters. Liu stretched out his hand and clapped. Through the system connection, Liu sent all the various gold fingers he had created into the celestial world connected to the dimensional elevator. I'm Sauron, the owner of the Supreme Ring, the ruler of Modo. In a certain plane, at the top of a dark tower that towered into the clouds, in a world where darkness and fire roiled, a giant vertical eye of flames appeared. A thunderous roar reverberated from the vertical eye. No, how can the Supreme Ring be destroyed? I haven't even ruled the world. How can I fail? I can't accept this. In the Doomsday Volcano, a halfling threw a ring into the raging lava. The most powerful ring that ruled the world was slowly melting in the lava. No! Sauron roared furiously. Sauron roared madly. His huge vertical eye could only dissipate along with the melting of the Devil Ring. We've won. Outside the towering walls of Modo, an allied army of humans, dwarves, and elves raised their weapons and cheered when they saw the disappearing vertical eye on the tower. However, in the next moment, a loud explosion rang between heaven and earth. A dazzling light descended from the sky and landed on the vertical eye that was about to be destroyed. Boom! The light shone like the sun in the sky. A vast and boundless energy swept out, shaking heaven and earth. Huh, this is the Supreme Ring? Ha ha! Without the Supreme Devil Ring, I actually obtained the Supreme God Ring. The divine light was vast and mighty, illuminating heaven and earth. The vertical eye at the top of the tower suddenly turned into a brilliant, scorching sun. It was dazzling and brilliant, illuminating heaven and earth. I'm Sauron. I'm the owner of the Supreme Ring. I'm the ruler of Modo. I'm the ruler of this world. The mighty light swept out in all directions. Sauron's vertical, I was like a blazing sun as it slowly rose into the sky. From today onwards, I'm the King of Gods. I'm the Supreme King of Gods. The mighty voice spread throughout heaven and earth. The endless light illuminated the entire sky. The sun, the moon, the stars, and the gods all trembled under Sauron's divine power. My people, my believers, I'll grant you divine salvation. I'll grant you the glory of becoming my angels. The light swept out and washed over all of Modo like a tide. Roar! All the orcs and urukais that were illuminated by the light underwent tremendous changes. Their rough skin became smooth and delicate. Their ugly appearances became handsome and noble. Their broken weapons and equipment became exquisite and holy. Pairs of pure white wings stretched out on the back of the former half-orcs. In a moment, all the orcs and urukais on the land of Modo suddenly became holy and noble angels. My God, what's going on? White-robe wizard Gandalf, elven prince Legolas, king of Gondor Aragorn, and the other heroes were all stunned when they saw this. Weren't we here to fight against evil? Weren't we here to fight against Dark Demon King Sauron? Now, Sauron had become the supreme king. The heroes and their allied forces felt that their worldview had collapsed. They started to doubt their lives. Don't worry, you're not the first, and you won't be the last. A strange smile appeared on Liu's face. In Liu's eyes, the same scene was happening in countless dimensions and in all the worlds. All the worlds connected by the dimension elevator were in a complete mess. One by one, when the evil bosses were about to be defeated or killed, they would suddenly revive with full health and level up. Their strength would skyrocket, and they would become the strongest bosses in the world. Chapter 15:20. My heavenly mountain elder child can't be this cute. Looking at the elder Tong of Tian Shan Mountain, who shouted, "I'll destroy you on behalf of the moon," and instantly transformed into an unparalleled beauty, the transmigrator Dongfang was completely dumbfounded. Director, this script is wrong. Also, someone walked into the wrong set. Dongfang screamed and ran away like a rat. He didn't dare to follow the script and try to gain the favorability of Heavenly Mountain Elder Child. In another world, Nie Xiaoqian, how dare you steal Ning Kaichen from me? Don't you know that we are true love? A mighty black aura covered the sky. A majestic man was riding on a mighty black aura. He raised a giant axe and hacked at Nie Xiaoqian. No, Ning Kaichun shouted anxiously. Sir, how can you say no? I still want it very much. The majestic ancient fiend of the Black Mountain stopped hacking with his giant axe. He twisted his waist and winked at Ning Kaichun with a sweet smile. What the hell? A mistake. A mistake. This is definitely not my doing. Definitely not. Liu screamed and quickly disconnected the system connection. He took a few deep breaths and felt a lingering fear. My system is definitely fine. The ancient fiend of the Black Mountain must have opened it in the wrong way. It must be so. Liu shook his head and expelled the scene of him being blinded from his mind. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. The most important settings of the systems I released were how to play the game, 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 how to play the game. Even I can't stand it anymore. I think it's enough damage, right? A celestial emperor who was in charge of countless planes naturally had his own temperament and personality, as well as his own preferences. Such a reversal of the plot, such a deceptive boss. He probably couldn't stand it anymore, right? Bastard. What the hell is this? The celestial emperor, who was in charge of the greater 1,000 realms in the heavens, suddenly saw that the world in his hands had become foul and completely unsightly. This made the celestial emperor so angry that he stomped his feet. Bastard! How did such an evil thing come to be? All of you die. The celestial world was equivalent to the celestial emperor's own room. His own room had to be decorated to his satisfaction before it would be comfortable. After being ruthlessly tormented by Liu, this celestial emperor expressed that it was too ugly. It was too disgusting. He couldn't stand it at all. The infuriated celestial emperor intended to completely purify his celestial worlds and restore everything to its original state, to the settings he liked. True flames of Taisu purify the heavens. A blazing flame shining with pure white light shot out of the void and engulfed the worlds, completely formatting the foul worlds. Now, your mind is on cleaning the room. I'll take the opportunity to snatch your Pearl of Origins. Liu retracted all of his aura and had the system covered up, impersonating the aura of Dongfang. Through the system's connection, he instantly rushed into the Pearl of Origins. I hope that Dongfang won't be accidentally injured by the Celestial Emperor. Liu walked out of the dilapidated elevator and silently rushed into the void. Hmm? This pearl of origins has been refined by the Celestial Emperor? Upon coming into contact with the origin of the pearl of origins, Liu sensed a pure white flame from it. True flames of Taisu? This Celestial Emperor is called the Celestial Emperor of Taisu? Liu reached out and pulled out his amber sword, a cold smile appearing on his face. The pearl of origins should have been mine in the first place. I'm taking back what's mine now. True flames of Taisu? Get out of here, all of you. Dazzling sword light soared into the sky as Liu raised his amber sword high and viciously slashed at the true flames of Taisu inside the pearl of origins. The true flames of Taisu inside the pearl of origins were only the refining imprint of the Celestial Emperor of Taisu, not the Celestial Emperor of Taisu himself. Under Liu's attack, the chaotic sword light annihilated everything. The mighty sword light swept through the world like a tide, slashing at the true flames of Taisu inside the Pearl of Origins. Damn it! Someone's attacking my Pearl of Origins. The moment Liu attacked, the Celestial Emperor of Taisu immediately discovered that Liu was attacking the refining imprint he'd left in the Pearl of Origins. Son of Chaos, you dare steal my Pearl of Origins? You're courting death. A furious roar rang out as white light filled the sky. A figure covered in pure white, like a snowman, appeared in the void. True flames of Taisu, purify the world. As soon as the Celestial Emperor of Taisu appeared, white flames burst out from his hand and blasted at Liu. You're back pretty fast. Unfortunately, I'm already prepared. Liu sneered. With a wave of his hand, the Emperor Yu bell flew out of his hand and hung above his head. The mighty sound of the bell resounded through the sky. The sound of the bell rumbled, and the sound of chaos annihilated everything. Under the resistance of the Emperor Yu bell, the Celestial Emperor of Taisu blasted out the true flames of Taisu, but it was blocked by the sound of chaos on the Emperor Yu bell. At the second step of the Chaos Realm, the fight between each other is a fight for the first opportunity. I'm one step ahead of you and seize the opportunity. This Pearl of Origins can only belong to me. Liu's attack on the refinement mark in the bead of origins had been premeditated. He had calculated everything clearly. The Emperor Yu bell blocked the hasty attack of the Celestial Emperor of Taisu. Liu could no longer stop him from destroying the refining imprint of the Pearl of Origins. Boom! In just an instant, the entire Pearl of Origins shook violently. The refining imprint left by the Celestial Emperor of Taisu in the Pearl of Origins was wiped clean. Damn it! When the Celestial Emperor of Taisu found that he had cut off all connections with the Pearl of Origins, he immediately flew into a rage. Son of Chaos, do you think Taisu, am a pushover? If I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know the immensity of heaven and earth. With a furious roar, a pure white jade rui rushed out of the Celestial Emperor of Taisu's hand. It burst out a pure and bright white light and smashed down on Liu's head. Immensity of heaven and earth? The heavens will only be as high as I want them to be. The earth will be as thick as I want it to be. After destroying the refining imprint of the Pearl of Origins, Liu had taken the initiative. More than half of the purpose of this trip had been achieved. Clang! The profound yellow sword shook, and a sword light that could annihilate all things soared into the sky. It tore the sky apart, collapsed the laws, and slashed at the white jade rui. Boom! The power of the second step of the Chaos Realm collided, collapsing time and space and annihilating the laws of order. The two of them fought fiercely. Chapter 1521. Boom! 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 A series of earth-shaking roars resounded, and dazzling brilliance burst out in the void. It was as if the galaxy had exploded, and as if a black hole had erupted. The void was in chaos. Two peerless sovereigns at the second step of primal chaos fought in the void. Even in the world of the Pearl of Origin, it caused a huge impact. The stars were destroyed, and the space collapsed. The endless galaxy in the void was crushed into nothingness by the aftermath of the battle. If Earth wasn't the core of the Pearl of Origin, it would have been shattered by the aftermath of the battle. Heavenly Emperor Tai Su, there's no need to continue this meaningless battle. The Emperor Yu Bell shook and repelled Heavenly Emperor Tai Su. Li Yu smiled and glanced at Heavenly Emperor Tai Su. You know very well. This Pearl of Origin has already fallen into my hands. You can't take it back. What's the point of continuing to fight? Can't take it back? You think too highly of yourself. Heavenly Emperor Tai Su sneered and waved the white jade rui in his hand again. You only expelled my refining imprint. This Pearl of Origin is at most an ownerless item. It hasn't fallen into your hands yet. As long as I repel you, the Pearl of Origin will still be mine. That's a good idea. Li Yu waved his sword and blocked the jade rui thrown by Heavenly Emperor Tai Su. He smiled and shook his head. It seems that you don't understand my style of doing things. When I, Li Yu, do things, I have absolute confidence. Confidence? Oof. Heavenly Emperor Tai Su snorted. How long has it been since you reached the second step of primal chaos? I'm not a fool like Huang Tian who only knows how to play tricks. If you want to defeat me, you'll have to train for a few more years. Huang Tian failed to trick Li Yu and was tricked to death by Li Yu. This had become the biggest joke in the entire primal chaos void. Who says I want to defeat you? Even if I don't defeat you, I can still control this world. Li Yu chuckled, and with a wave of his hand, he slashed out with his sword. I have given you so many opportunities. You think I'm just trying to distract you? I want to see how you're going to control this world. How could Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor believe this? Without caring about anything else, he swung the Jade Scepter and fought with Li Yu again. Controlling this world only requires a single thought. Li Yu smiled and raised the Yu Emperor Bell to block the attack of Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor. Then, he said with a smile, I'll show you how I take away your origin bead. In the name of you, return my Pearl of Origin. It was just a sentence. After these words were spoken, the entire world began to tremble. The entire world seemed to be responding to them. Boom! Boundless radiance soared into the sky. Matter and energy, order and law permeated the entire Pearl of Origin. In the blink of an eye, Li Yu had taken control of the Origin Pearl. How is this possible? He gained control of the Pearl of Origins with a single sentence. How is this possible? Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor was dumbfounded. He was about to start doubting his life. It took this old man a long time to refine this Pearl of Origins. Even if you're the son of primal chaos, you can't control the Pearl of Origins with a single sentence, right? See? The Pearl of Origins is already mine. You no longer have a chance. Do you want to continue fighting? Li Yu glanced at Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor and shook his head with a smile. While Li Yu was fighting with Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor, Li Yu used the plane elevator to retrieve the various systems that he had thrown into Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor's world. After countless systems were retracted, they silently seeped into this world through the plane elevator. These systems slowly integrated into the world's laws of heaven and earth. Similar to blackmailing the Lord God, they opened a back door in this world's laws of heaven and earth. When this back door was opened, Li Yu only needed to connect with the system and send an origin imprint to the laws of the Pearl of Origins to gain control of this world. Unfortunately, I have to remove the refining imprint of others for this method to succeed. Otherwise, I only need to throw out a few systems to snatch the Pearl of Origins. Li Yu sighed with some regret, as expected of the son of primal chaos. What a good method. Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor's face was full of resentment. He gripped the white jade rui tightly. The anger in his heart was about to burst through the sky. Losing the Pearl of Origins meant losing the qualification. Even if the son of primal chaos opened the origin ground, he would be kicked out by others. He wouldn't be able to take any advantage or gain any benefits. Hundreds of millions of years of calculation, hundreds of millions of years of hard work. In the end, it was all for naught. How could he endure this? Son of primal chaos, You and I are irreconcilable. Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor was furious. His eyes were wide open as if they were about to spit fire. With a wild roar, Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor waved the white jade rui and charged at Liu like a madman. Don't get excited. Don't get excited. You still have a chance. You still have a chance. When Liu saw Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor charging at him like a madman, he quickly released the Emperor Yu Bell to block the crazy Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor. The opponent he hated the most was this kind of person who went crazy easily. Once he went crazy, it was too difficult to trick him. I've already lost the Pearl of Origins. What chance do I have? Hundreds of millions of years of hard work are all for naught. Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor's face was distorted as he roared angrily. Once the origin ground opens, the new master of primal chaos will be born. The origin of heaven and earth will be reshaped. All order and laws will be reshaped according to the will of the master of primal chaos. If I don't become the master of primal chaos, even my existence will disappear. Is that so? Hearing Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor's words, Liu was shocked. He suddenly remembered that when the old dragon Heaven was smashed to death by Goddess, he also said something similar. Once the day of destruction comes, everything will vanish like smoke. The day of destruction that Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor said was the same as the day of primal chaos that Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor said. After destruction, there will be rebirth. Is that so? Wait, Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor, you still have a chance. Although you have lost this Pearl of Origins, but don't you have other Pearls of Origins? Let's work together and snatch others. Hoodwinker, big hoodwinker. Liu felt that this Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor, who had been kicked out, was very suitable to be used as a tool. And that's right, my Pearl of Origins was snatched. Why can't I snatch others? Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor's eyes lit up as he found his life goal again. Why should I join forces with you? Can't I join forces with others to snatch your Pearl of Origins? Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor didn't have a good impression of Liu, the culprit. You join forces with other Heavenly Emperors? Let's not talk about whether you can join forces or not. Even if you join forces, are you confident in snatching my Pearl of Origins? Liu smiled and spread out his hands. You have personally experienced my means. If you join forces with me, the possibility of snatching the Pearl of Origins is definitely much higher than if you join forces with others. Humph. Hearing the words, you have personally experienced my means, Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor's face turned ugly. How about this? I will use this Pearl of Origins as collateral. If I don't follow the agreement and join forces with you to snatch others' Pearls of Origins, I will compensate you with this Pearl of Origins. Liu seemed to be very generous. If people familiar with Lida heard this, they would definitely be on high alert. Generous? When has Lida ever been generous? You actually have such courage? Hearing Liu use this Pearl of Origins as collateral, Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor was immediately moved. All right, it's a deal. Thus, Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor fell into a fire pit. Chapter 1522. Very well. Seeing Heavenly Emperor Tai Su agree to join forces, Liu smiled and nodded. In that case, we are allies. Let's discuss the details. Well, let's first determine how to mortgage this Pearl of Origin. How can we cooperate? For Heavenly Emperor Tai Su, what he was most concerned about was mortgaging a Pearl of Origin. Whether or not the cooperation could succeed, whether or not it could be a real cooperation, Heavenly Emperor Tai Su didn't care at all. Getting this so-called mortgage first was what Heavenly Emperor Tai Su was most concerned about. Of course, to show my sincerity, I will mortgage this Pearl of Origin to Heavenly Emperor. Liu pointed at the world in front of him and smiled at Heavenly Emperor Tai Su. As long as Heavenly Emperor swears a chaos oath in the name of chaos, you will join forces with me to fight against other Heavenly Emperors and snatch the other Pearls of Origin. I will mortgage this Pearl of Origin to Heavenly Emperor. Swear a chaos oath? Heavenly Emperor, Tai Su frowned slightly. A chaos oath in the name of chaos. Even if the chaos overlord was dead, it would still be witnessed by the chaos origin. Even a heavenly emperor in the second step of chaos couldn't violate such an oath. Otherwise, they would be punished by the chaos overlord's remnant law origin. It's just an oath to join forces against other heavenly emperors to snatch the Pearl of Origin. It didn't say who would get it after snatching it. This oath doesn't have much of a restriction. After thinking for a while, Heavenly Emperor Tai Su made a decision. All right, I agree to the oath. In the name of chaos, I, Tai Su, am willing to join forces with the Son of Chaos to fight against other heavenly emperors and snatch the Pearl of Origin. This oath shall be witnessed by chaos. Heavenly Emperor Tai Su didn't agree on the punishment for violating the oath, nor did he agree on the amount of effort. He just vaguely made an oath. Liu didn't seem to understand the ambush in Heavenly Emperor Tai Su's oath. He actually agreed just like that. Ha ha ha. Very good. Very good. Heavenly Emperor Tai Su, from now on, we are allies. Liu's face was filled with joy as he smiled. Allies? Oof. Who wants to be your ally? Let me trick you into giving me your collateral first. Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor responded with a smile on the surface, but he sneered in his heart. The collateral was an origin pearl. As long as he obtained this Pearl of Origin, in the future, when the so-called alliance was cheap and profitable, they could contribute. Even if he couldn't take advantage of the situation, he would at least have an origin pearl in his possession. In the eyes of Grand Essence Heavenly Emperor, this was already a sure-win business. But is the Son of Chaos really that stupid? Will he really hand over the Pearl of Origins to me as collateral? Heavenly Emperor Tai Su started to worry about his gains and losses. Yes, the Son of Chaos was in a very bad situation. The various heavenly emperors were all eyeing him covetously, all racking their brains to want to swallow him up in one bite. In this hopeless and isolated situation, using a Pearl of Origin to pull in an ally is indeed a good move. Thinking about it, Tai Su Heavenly Emperor felt that he had completely seen through Liu's thoughts and was very confident about this cooperation. Son of Chaos, where is the collateral you promised? Why aren't you bringing it over? Having seen through Liu's current predicament, Tai Su Heavenly Emperor felt that to Liu, he was an ally that must be relied on very heavily. Therefore, he wasn't so polite to Liu. Don't worry, Heavenly Emperor. I, Liu, am an upright person who abides by integrity. The collateral I promised you must be honored. Liu's face was forthright, with a look of honesty. Heavenly Emperor, I will leave this world now. I will immediately give this Pearl of Origins to you as collateral. With that, Liu cupped his hands towards Tai Su Heavenly Emperor. Heavenly Emperor, I have left a contact mark in this Pearl of Origins. We can contact each other at any time in the future. Liu will take his leave now. With a sway of his body, Liu's figure instantly left this world and disappeared without a trace. He really left just like that? Is he really going to give this Pearl of Origins to me as collateral? Seeing Liu being so forthright, true to his word, and abiding by integrity, Tai Su Heavenly Emperor only felt a little confused. The predicament the Son of Chaos is facing is already so serious? Could it be that other heavenly emperors are working together to deal with him? Otherwise, why would he be willing to hand over the Pearl of Origins that he just obtained? Tai Su Heavenly Emperor naturally wouldn't treat the so-called collateral as collateral. Although this Pearl of Origins had been refined by Liu and left with Liu's mark, with Tai Su Heavenly Emperor's strength, it would be easy to remove the mark and refine the Pearl of Origins again. I only promised to work with you, but I didn't promise you that I wouldn't refine the collateral. In any case, a Pearl of Origins was already in his hands. The feeling of regaining what he had lost made Tai Su Heavenly Emperor happy. Tai Su Flame, purify all things. With a cold light flashing in his eyes, Tai Su Heavenly Emperor waved his hand and a pure white flame gushed out like a tide, penetrating the world and the law origin of the Pearl of Origins. The pure white flame rushed all the way into the law origin, constantly removing the refining mark left by Liu. You really made a move? Liu raised his eyes and glanced in the direction of Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, and shook his head with a smile. There's an old saying, don't be greedy. Do I look like such a generous person? You want to take advantage of I? You're too naive. With a wave of his hand, Liu turned around and left. Huh? The son of chaos didn't stop me? Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, who was removing the refining mark, was ready to fight with Liu, but found that Liu didn't come at all. Yes, he snatched my Pearl of Origins to find an ally. Now that he's returning the Pearl of Origins to me, he wants me to appreciate it. Hee, since you want to cooperate, I might as well feign civility with you first. Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, sneered, and the speed of removing the refining mark became faster. Huh? What's this? While removing the refining mark left by Liu in the Pearl of Origins, Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, suddenly found a strange mark. After taking a closer look, Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, understood. So this is the contact mark that the son of chaos mentioned. In any case, he's an ally. I'll keep it first. After removing Liu's refining mark along the way, Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, released his spirit and went deep into the law origin of the Pearl of Origins. The son of chaos easily erased my refining mark just now. This time, I have to be more serious. I have to go all out so that others can't easily erase my mark. Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, gritted his teeth and poured all his spirit into the law origin of the Pearl of Origins. Then he suffered tragedy. Chapter 1523. Mark them all. This time, no one can even think of snatching my origin pearl. Having Liu snatched away this origin pearl so easily, Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, regarded it as the greatest shame of his life. Now that he had regained it, how could he not put in all his effort? All of his divine soul was poured into the origin laws of the origin pearl, not letting go of a single bit. Every place was branded with layers and layers of divine soul imprints. Then what is this? When Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, was done with all this, he was shocked to find that there was one more thing in his divine soul. That was a mark, a Ouroboros mark. Below this mark, there was a line of words: System Supplier's honorary product. Counterfeits will be investigated. What the hell is this? Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, was shocked and hurriedly summoned all of his mind and desperately removed this mark. For a Heavenly Emperor in the second step of chaos, his body and vitality had long turned into a chaotic state. Only the divine soul had not turned into chaos. The divine soul was the biggest weakness of the Heavenly Emperors in the second step of chaos. Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, suddenly found that such a mark had appeared in his divine soul and immediately broke out in a cold sweat. He hurriedly thought of all ways to remove this strange thing. Discovered that the host has hostile behavior, automatically activating punishment mode. A cold voice suddenly sounded from the Ouroboros mark. Then, endless video files were transmitted into the Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor's mind. The sky has a lonely well. The stars fall from the sky, reflecting the distant eyes. The small stream reflects the colors of the flowers. The lonely island of Song River is a maple leaf. The apricot by the rippling pool of the South Sea. The cherry blossoms are all gone. The vermilion leaves are silent. The beauties in the immortal valley. Love becomes a dream on the island. The wild geese fly in the Shisai mountain. The small bridge and water soak the fragrance garden. The withered vines in the Marshall garden. The leaf family's eyebrows are full of spring. 18 kinds of martial arts, 108 postures, endless, too much for the eyes to take in. Oh, what the hell is this? Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, hugged his head and howled. Such an impactful video, such a blood-boiling video. Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, did not know how to appreciate it. Get out of here! The Grand Simplicity Heavenly Emperor roared furiously as he unleashed sword lights from his divine soul, slashing away all the unsightly scenes. Phew! It's more terrifying than the heavenly demon of desire. What the hell is this thing? Ruthlessly cutting off all these precious resources that countless otakus were begging for seeds. The Taisu Heavenly Emperor panted with lingering fear and roared with grief and indignation. You think it's over? No, this is just the beginning. Lying on the throne in the main hall of the immortal mansion, Liu picked up the wine bottle and took a sip leisurely. Do you think it's so easy to take my collateral? There's a system. Of heaven, Emperor. When Taisu Heavenly Emperor refined the Pearl of Origin again, he naturally incorporated the system into his divine soul. This was the big pit that Liu dug. What ally? What cooperation? What mortgage? It's all fake. When Taisu Heavenly Emperor accepted Liu's mortgage, he had already fallen into the fire pit dug by Liu. Cheating people. I'm the most professional. Liu patted the armrest of the throne, narrowed his eyes, and dozed off. Taisu Heavenly Emperor was still being punished. On my eyes. I'm blind. I'm blind. Too disgusting. Too filthy. Too ugly. The second step of the punishment was no longer a normal situation. Regardless of gender, age, or race, it was an endless, chaotic battle. What Taisu Heavenly Emperor couldn't stand the most was this. When Liu was causing trouble, those distorted scenes made Taisu Heavenly Emperor unable to bear it. In a fit of anger, he purified the heavens. Now his mind was filled with these things. This old man will fight with you. With a crazy roar, a pure white flame rose from Taisu Heavenly Emperor's divine soul. Burn, 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 burn all of them to ashes for me. Purify these disgusting things for me. The white flame rushed up in the sea of consciousness, and those disgusting scenes were all burned into nothingness. However, the mark of the Ouroboros still stood in the fire, eternal and eternal. What the hell are you? After trying everything, Taisu Heavenly Emperor looked at the Ouroboros mark in the sea of consciousness and roared angrily. The system supplier's first chain store. A cold voice sounded from the Ouroboros mark again. What store? What store? Taisu Heavenly Emperor was stunned for a moment, and then a fire rose in his eyes. Son of chaos, this must be your doing. Come out. Get out for this seat. By now, how could Taisu Heavenly Emperor not think that this was Liu's scheme? No wonder he returned the Pearl of Origin so casually. It turned out that he was waiting for me here. Son of chaos, what the hell do you want? Come out. Come out for me. Taisu Heavenly Emperor roared at the Ouroboros mark. Unfortunately, this thing was a system. No matter how he scolded, there was no reaction at all. And the punishment was still continuing. All kinds of videos poured into Taisu Heavenly Emperor's mind again. Taisu Heavenly Emperor could only burn his divine soul again and turn into the purification flame to burn all these disgusting things. Over and over again, day after day, endless videos poured in, and there was no repetition. There was no end to burning, no end to cutting. What the hell do you want? Taisu Heavenly Emperor was about to collapse. Every time he ignited the purification flame to remove these filth and disgusting things, he had to burn a part of his divine soul power. After so many torments, even a heavenly emperor in the second step of chaos could not bear it anymore. What do I want? Of course, I want to take you in as a thug. At this time, it was about time. Liu could already make his move. The existence of the second step of chaos was different from others. Liu used the system to collect the avatar of Taishian Heavenly Emperor back then, and he blew it up. Now that he wanted to use the system to trick Taisu Heavenly Emperor, Liu was a little worried if he did not exhaust him. At this moment, Taisu Heavenly Emperor's divine soul power had been greatly consumed and had fallen to the bottom. It was just right to control him. Boom! Taisu Heavenly Emperor's mind suddenly shook. The Ouroboros mark burst out endless brilliance, sweeping through the entire sea of consciousness like a tide. erosion, infiltration, control. A moment later, Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, fell into the hands of Liu. His life and death were only in Liu's hands. Chapter 1524. Go, Tai Su, go and scam the others. With the life and death of Heavenly Emperor Tai Su in his hands, Liu could use him as an opening to lure the other Heavenly Emperors into his trap. Yes, he had no choice but to lower his head. With his divine soul controlled by the system, Heavenly Emperor Tai Su could not even think of resisting. Under Liu's arrangement, Heavenly Emperor Tai Su could only act as an accomplice and help Liu harm the other Heavenly Emperors. After resting for a while to recover his divine soul, Heavenly Emperor Tai Su got up and walked out of the Pearl of Origin into the endless void. After traveling through the void, Heavenly Emperor Tai Su soon arrived at another territory. Heavenly Emperor Tai Hong, Tai Su is here to visit. At the border of the territory, Heavenly Emperor Tai Su stopped and called out to the endless void in front of him. Tai Su, you have the time to come to my place? In the era when the Lord of Chaos ruled the universe, the 9 Heavenly Emperors in the Chaos Void were all colleagues. Although the relationship between the Heavenly Emperors became complicated after the fall of the Lord of Chaos, they were still friends. After Heavenly Emperor Tai Su's voice transmission, the void shook slightly and a fat man with an oily face appeared in front of Heavenly Emperor Tai Su. Brother Hong Tian, long time no see. Heavenly Emperor Tai Su cupped his hands and greeted the Heavenly Emperor Tai Hong. Just call me Tai Hong. I haven't used the name Li Hong Tian for many years. The oily man smiled and waved his hand. Tai Su, what brings you here today? At this critical moment, when the Son of Chaos was about to open the land of origin, they were all competitors. Heavenly Emperor Tai Hong was not in the mood to chat with Heavenly Emperor Tai Su and was too lazy to pretend. Tai Hong, since you said so, I won't hide it anymore. Heavenly Emperor Tai Su put away the fake smile on his face and became serious. I'm here to form an alliance with you. Alliance? Heavenly Emperor Tai Hong raised his eyebrows, and a look of shock flashed in his eyes. Alliance? There was only one Lord of Chaos, and everyone wanted to fight for this position. The victor would have everything, while the loser would perish and turn into nothingness. How could there be room for an alliance in such a competitive relationship? Even if they formed an alliance and defeated the others together, then who would become the Lord of Primal Chaos in the end? Yes, Celestial Emperor Tai Su raised his hand solemnly. In the name of the Chaos, I, Tai Su, am here to form an alliance with Celestial Emperor Tai Hong. Primal Chaos shall bear witness to this oath. Oath of Primal Chaos. The Tai Hong Celestial Emperor was flabbergasted. Swearing an oath of chaos just because of a disagreement? You're actually for real? And it was so intense. Brother Tai Su, please. Now that the Grand Simplicity Celestial Emperor had sworn the oath of chaos, Celestial Emperor Tai Hong had no choice but to believe the Grand Simplicity Celestial Emperor's sincerity. Opening a spatial gate with a wave of his hand, Celestial Emperor Tai Hong led Celestial Emperor Tai Su to his lair, a majestic and gorgeous palace floating in the endless void. Brother Tai Su, it's very safe here. You can speak without worry. Inside the palace, Celestial Emperor Tai Hong released chaos energy to seal off the entire secret chamber. Only then did he speak with Celestial Emperor Tai Su. Brother Tai Hong, I'm sure you're aware of the current situation. Sitting down in the secret chamber, Celestial Emperor Tai Su looked up at Celestial Emperor Tai Hong and said solemnly, "The Son of Chaos has risen to prominence. Huang Tian died at his hands. He's already taken at least 2 pearls of origin. The Son of Chaos is quite capable. He took 1 pearl of origin back in the Chaos world, and now he's taken Huang Tian's. As expected of the Son of Chaos." Celestial Emperor Tai Hong sighed and shook his head. The Son of Chaos won't be able to open the origin grounds until he reaches that level. There's nothing we can do about it. The Son of Chaos is the key to opening the origin grounds. There's no doubt about it. Celestial Emperor Tai Su nodded. According to the information we've received, the Pearls of Origin are the key to opening the origin grounds. That's why we need to get our hands on as many Pearls of Origin as possible. That's the only way we can seize the initiative. That's why I'm here to form an alliance with you. Pearls of Origin? Do you want to? Celestial Emperor Tai Hong's eyes flashed, but he shook his head. The Pearls of Origin all have owners. Even if we work together, it won't be that easy to take them from the other Celestial Emperors. Indeed, Celestial Emperor Tai Su nodded in agreement. We Celestial Emperors are all very familiar with one another. The slightest trick will be noticed, and we won't have a chance to plot against them. Even if we work together, we won't be able to take them down in a short time. Then why did you come here to form an alliance? Celestial Emperor Tai Hong raised an eyebrow and glanced at Celestial Emperor Tai Su. If there's no chance to make a move, what's the point of forming an alliance? Brother Hong Tian, the Celestial Emperors aren't the only ones with Pearls of Origin. The Son of Chaos has at least 2 more. Celestial Emperor Tai Su smiled at Celestial Emperor Tai Hong. The Son of Chaos isn't familiar with our methods. If we work together, there's a high chance we'll be able to take the Pearls of Origin. The Son of Chaos, huh? Celestial Emperor Tai Hong frowned and muttered to himself. Great Emperor Yellow Sky had fallen at the hands of the Son of Chaos. Although it was because of Yellow Sky's own petty tricks, it still proved that the Son of Chaos wasn't weak. It was also very risky to deal with the Son of Chaos. However, compared to the other Celestial Emperors who were very familiar with one another, the Son of Chaos was the best target. The Son of Chaos has 2 Pearls of Origin, 1 for each of us. I'll help you get 1 Pearl of Origin first. Then, you'll help me get the other one. Celestial Emperor Tai Su threw out a condition that Celestial Emperor Tai Hong couldn't refuse. Is that so? Celestial Emperor Tai Hong reached out to stroke his glossy double chin, calculating in his mind. Judging from this situation, Tai Su seemed to be very sincere. After forming an alliance, help me get the first Pearl of Origin first. That was a very good condition. If the 2 of them worked together to snatch the Son of Chaos Pearls of Origin, the first one would be the easiest to get. Once they got the first Pearl of Origin, the Son of Chaos would definitely protect the other Pearl of Origin with all his might. It would be very difficult to get the second one. After I get the first Pearl of Origin, I'll help Tai Su get the second one. I just need to put in a little effort and put on a show. Whether or not I can get it is none of my business. Celestial Emperor Tai Hong already had an idea. All right, Brother Tai Su, let's swear the oath of chaos together and form an alliance. I'll work with you to snatch the Son of Chaos Pearls of Origin. Ha ha, good. If you and I work together, we'll definitely succeed. Celestial Emperor Tai Su stood up with a hearty laugh. He was in high spirits, as if victory was already in sight. Yes, victory was in sight. Tai Hong, after you fall into the hands of the Son of Chaos and are controlled by him, we'll really be allies. My alliance with you is completely real. I'm not lying at all. Chapter 1525. So what's your plan, Tai Su? After making the oath and forming an alliance, the next step was to discuss the details. Celestial Emperor Tai Hong was very curious about Celestial Emperor Tai Su's plan. There's something you don't know, Brother Tai Hong. Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor, raised his head and knocked on the table in front of him. He smiled and said, Brother Tai Hong, when we were fighting for the Pearl of Origin in the untainted world, the Son of Chaos took advantage of us. However, I have a backup plan. Oh, hearing Tai Su, Heavenly Emperor's words, Tai Hong, Heavenly Emperor's eyes glinted. Brother Tai Su, you are indeed extraordinary. He, Celestial Emperor Tai Su smiled. Back then, I was Buddha in the Eldritch world and had karma with a monkey. That monkey is still in the Eldritch world. I see. Brother Tai Su, you're really far-sighted. Celestial Emperor Tai Hong's eyes lit up. With this backup plan, even if the origin pearl is special, we can still find the location of this origin pearl. We'll definitely win this battle. Exactly. Celestial Emperor Tai Su stood up and looked at Celestial Emperor Tai Hong. Brother Tai Hong, let's work together and get this origin pearl. Brother Tai Su is right. Let's go. Let's go get this origin pearl. As they spoke, their figures flashed, and they tore through space and rushed all the way to the primeval world. They traveled through space, and it wasn't long before the two of them traversed boundless space and arrived at the periphery of the primeval world. This is the Eldritch world. Back then, we fought for it together, but the Son of Chaos took advantage of it. This time, we'll take it back. Celestial Emperor Tai Su pointed at the Eldritch world and sneered. Exactly. Celestial Emperor Tai Hong nodded in agreement and saluted Celestial Emperor Tai Su. Please. Of course. With a wave of his hand, a dot of light lit up in Celestial Emperor Tai Su's hand. In the Eldritch world, the divine stone spirit embryo on top of Mount Huagua shone brightly. Following this karmic connection, Celestial Emperor Tai Su opened a back door in the Eldritch world. Brother Tai Hong, quickly go in. Hurry up and remove the Son of Chaos's refining imprint and refine this origin pearl. The Tai Su Celestial Emperor turned to the Tai Hong Celestial Emperor and shouted, when you remove the mark, you will definitely alarm the Son of Chaos. I will block him from the outside. He's actually so generous. At this critical juncture, Celestial Emperor Tai Hong was surprised to see Celestial Emperor Tai Su so honest and selfless. This guy, is he really that trustworthy? Are you really serious about forming an alliance with me? Did he really give up such an opportunity? For some reason, the Celestial Emperor of Tai Hong felt uneasy. However, the benefits in front of him were real, and there was nothing fake about it. The Tai Hong Celestial Emperor had no choice but to dispel his suspicions. Whatever. In any case, they had already sworn the Oath of Alliance. This was an oath verified by primal chaos, and it couldn't be faked. Furthermore, the Pearl of Origin was right in front of him. It can't be faked. Be decisive. If you don't take what the heavens give you, you'll be in trouble instead. Gritting his teeth, the Tai Hong Celestial Emperor cupped his hands at the Tai Su Celestial Emperor. Thank you for your help, fellow Taoist. I'll be going now. In a flash of light, the Tai Hong Celestial Emperor followed the karmic thread and silently infiltrated the primeval world. Greed was the greatest sin of all. Even those at the second step of the chaos stage would be affected by greed. Don't be greedy for benefits. That was a true saying. With the Pearl of Origin right in front of him, the Tai Hong Celestial Emperor couldn't possibly give it up. After entering the primeval world, the Tai Hong Celestial Emperor immediately cast a spell to remove the refining imprint that Liu had left in the primeval world's origin of laws. Great celestial aura, light of creation, divine light surged out of the Tai Hong Celestial Emperor and swept through the primeval world, destroying Liu's refining imprint. How many primeval saints are there? Zhen Yuanzi, Kong Xian, Sudaji, and an ordinary cultivator with a weak foundation? The Tai Hong Celestial Emperor's soul instantly sensed the saints of the primeval world. The Son of Chaos has only risen to power recently. His foundation is weak. How can someone like him be made a saint? Sneering inwardly, the Tai Hong Celestial Emperor waved his hand and sent out a beam of light that pierced through the laws of heaven and earth, driving the primordial saints out of the heavenly Tao. The primeval saints carry out justice on behalf of the heavens. They possess some of the primeval world's laws. I still need to strip them of their positions in order for me to fully refine this origin pearl. The Tai Hong Celestial Emperor made a grabbing motion. A boundless power surged out and enveloped Zhen Yuanzi, Kong Xian, Su Daji, and the others. The supreme power of the second step of the chaos stage ripped the primeval saints' heavenly Tao statuses out of their bodies. How can the Pearl of Origin's authority be given to others? The Tai Hong Celestial Emperor grabbed a few heavenly Tao statuses and swallowed them, storing them in his soul. And then tragedy befell him. What was Su Daji's heavenly Tao statuses? It was a system called the Shop of 1,000 Realms that Li Yu had given to Su Daji when he first came to the primeval world. What was Kong Xian's heavenly Tao statuses? It was the great Tao of the 5 elements that Li Yu had given to Kong Xian using a multicolored stone as a medium. What was Zhen Yuanzi's heavenly Tao statuses? It was also a system that Li Yu had given to him with a fragment of the soul-dispersing gourd. Of course, that wasn't the scariest part. The most terrifying thing was how many opportunities had Li Yu given out in order to deceive the world and destroy the control of the saints over the primordial world? All of those opportunities had now been integrated into the Pearl of Origins laws. Even though the Tai Hong Celestial Emperor was a Celestial Emperor at the second step of the Chaos stage, he would still suffer greatly after absorbing so many systems at once. Boom! Another Ouroboros mark appeared in the Tai Hong Celestial Emperor's mind. The second chain of system suppliers is now officially open. A cold and stiff voice came from the Ouroboros mark. What the hell is this? Celestial Emperor Tai Su, you tricked me? The Tai Hong Celestial Emperor realized that he had been tricked by the Ouroboros mark. Tai Su, you tricked me? You swore the oath of chaos, and you still dare to trick me at the risk of being punished by the law of chaos? The Tai Hong Celestial Emperor roared furiously. I didn't trick you. I really want to be your ally. The Tai Su Celestial Emperor appeared in the primeval world and chuckled at the Tai Hong Celestial Emperor. With that, Mark, we are truly allies. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.